make a difference. But when we find other lamps, it adds to the luminescence and it becomes a beautiful pattern. Such is the spirit of our Indian Society of Anesthesiologists. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to request Dr. Kiran Bevhari, President, ISA Nagpur City Branch, to kindly welcome the gathering for today's Annual Day program and E.G. Thambe Memorial Oration. Dr. Kiran Bevhari, ma'am.
Hello.
Thank you, Sheetal. Chief guest of today's annual day program, President of IMA Nagpur and Vice President of Maharashtra IMA, Honorable Dr. Prakash Dev sir, Vice President of ISA National Advisory Board and Advisory Board Member, respected Dr. Anjali Bhure Madam, our special guest, President of Maharashtra State Chapter and a dynamic leader, Dr. Manisha Katikar Madam, GC member of MSCISA and immediate past President, Dr. Saurabh Berde, GC member MSCISA, Dr. Sheetal Dalal, President-elect Dr. Rashmi Shingade, Secretary Dr. Sarita, Treasurer Dr. Sachin Makde, Chairpersons of late Dr. E.G. Thambe Memorial Oration, Dr. Shubhda Deshmukh Madam and Dr. Charuta Gadkari Madam, Dr. Vilas Thambe Sir, dignitaries in the audience, all past President, Dr. S.K. Deshpande Sir, Dr. Hatikar Sir, Dr. Pratibha Deshmukh Madam, Dr. Ranjana Deshmukh Madam, and all HODs, teachers and my dear friends. I welcome you all to this annual day program. It is indeed my proud privilege and honor to address you as the President of the most vibrant branch of ISA, the Nagpur City Branch. This is a special year for us as it is the Platinum Jubilee year of ISA National and the eve of Golden Jubilee of ISA Nagpur. It was in October 2021 that I took charge as in office, and these 7.5 months have been the most enriching and enlightening months of my life. It is said that sharing wisdom and experience with others enriches your work and your life. There have been many valuable experiences which I gained during this journey. One important positive lesson which I learned, that however big a problem might seem, there is always a solution. ISA Nagpur has now become an emotion for me, and I am trying my level best to keep the flag high and will not stop till the task is completed. Growth is possible only with teamwork. A good team divides the task but multiplies the success. I am blessed to have a wonderful team who is working tirelessly and responding to my single call. My efficient and supportive Secretary Sarita, Treasurer Sachin, GC members Saurabh and Sheetal guiding me, President-elect Dr. Rashmi, Special Executive Gauri, and my hard-working executives, the Joint Secretary Dr. Dilip Vasnik, Dr. Hina Pahuja, Dr. Anjali Borkar, Dr. Sonali Bhagat, Dr. Leena Ingre, Dr. Sheetal Samay, Dr. Nilesh Mathankar, Dr. Jitesh Chauhan, and above all, Honorable Dr. Anjali Bhure Madam, who is a constant guiding force for me. Thank you, Madam. ISA Nagpur is vibrating with tremendous enthusiasm, and today is the day to recognize our shining lights. Award ceremony is to encourage our members and felicitate them with for their exemplary services rendered in spite of their busy schedules. Today our patrons, Dr. Hema Mankeshwar Madam and Sri Rao Sir, are out of Nagpur, and Ghosh Sir could not make it because of health issues, but they have conveyed their blessings and good wishes to us all. Mankeshwar Madam has specially sent her blessings to Manisha Katikar Madam, who will be delivering the prestigious late Dr. E.G. Thambe Memorial Oration in the scientific program. Dr. Vilas Thambe Sir has started this oration in the memory of his father. He has generously donated to IMA and ISA, and we are grateful to you, sir. Our chief guest, Dr. Prakash Dev, sir, graciously accepted my invitation and is a very humble person and a great human being. He has just recently taken up the reins of IMA, but is already doing a very commendable job. Together, we recently conducted a BCLS activity for our medical students and trained around 120 medical students. Saving life is our motto. It was very much appreciated by the students. Thank you, sir, for accepting my invitation and gracing the occasion. Looking forward to many projects together. Vice President ISA National, our very own Dr. Anjali Bure Madam, is such an inspiring persona and full of unique ideas, and we are fortunate to have her as our mentor and guide. Our special guest, President MSCISA, Dr. Manisha Katikar Madam, is such a dynamic leader that the whole Maharashtra state is vibrating with her brainstorming activities. She is a powerful leader who has united all 32 branches of Maharashtra state and has instilled so much enthusiasm that Maharashtra is shining all over India. Hats off to your dedication, madam. We are proud that you are a Nagpurian at heart, Nagpur being your mahir, and eager to hear you in the prestigious oration. So a huge round of applause for madam. I am happy to share that during these 7.5 months, we have conducted 80 activities till now. So COLS and BCLS around 50, social activities around 18, academic activities 12, out of which 6 CMEs are accredited CMEs. We have got 8 MMC credit points till now, and 2 more CMEs yet to go, with webinars and so many other things galore. We have a special monsoon edition of eSense which will be released soon. I appreciate the hard work put in by our chief editor, Dr. Gauri Arora, and co-editor, Dr. Rashmi Shingade. Life is not just about finding yourself, but about creating yourself. So go through and watch the creativity of our members. In the end, I would like to say, अभी तो जीत बाकी है, अभी तो जीत बाकी है, अभी जिंदगी का सार बाकी है. यहाँ से चले हम नई मंजिल की ओर. यह तो एक पन्ना था दोस्तों, अभी तो पूरी किताब बाकी है. Thank you so much. जय ISA, जय ISN, जय हिंद.
Thank you, Kiran. We move on to the much awaited award ceremony of annual day. It is a saying that a person who is appreciated will always do more than is expected. Appreciating and rewarding is a great approach to celebrate hard work and success in life. Awards and accolades are pivotal, same as recognition of success is necessary. It's a great motivation to the students. An award ceremony makes people feel that their work is valued and appreciated. On our annual day, we do the same. We have a plethora of awards in various fields and achievements. I request our guests to please distribute those awards.
Today is the day when we appreciate and applaud our seniors, colleagues, and encourage the young postgraduate achievers for their various achievements. So the first award today is the R.K. Pradhan Gold Medal for the highest marks in MD MUHS, Nagpur region, and it goes to Dr. Pratik Kadam. Okay.
Somebody else would receive on it.
Dr. Pratik is on the way, so we will carry on with our next award till then. Our next award is Shabde Tambe Memorial Travel Award, and the winner of this award is Dr. Payal Gondane from IGMC. This is a cash award and is granted to the postgraduate student whose paper has been accepted to be read at the annual conference of ISA. Due to COVID-19 pandemic, the conference was attended online. So this year, she is receiving a certificate for the same. On her behalf, her colleague is accepting the prize. Many congratulations. Ladies and gentlemen, our next award is Reverend B.N. Sahai Memorial Award, and for the best paper presentation. Along with that, there's one more award for the best paper presentation is Dr. Sri Rao's Award. And this year, for this award, the winner is Dr. Huma Qureshi Abdul Rafiq Khatib. She is receiving the first prize. So 2 awards to Dr. Huma. A big round of applause for her. Many congratulations, Dr. Huma.
Next is Dr. S.K. Deshpande's award for second best paper. This year it goes to Priyanka Patil. Sorry. Yogita Karemore. I'm so sorry. Okay. Huma is going to collect on her behalf.
Ladies and gentlemen, our Dr. R.K. Pradhan Memorial Award recipient, Dr. Pratik Kadam is here. Ladies and gentlemen, please a big round of applause for our MD topper this year. He's from NKP Salve Institute of Medical Sciences, Dr. Pratik Kadam. Hearty congratulations.
Next is Dr. Lalla and Dr. Cham Award. This year it goes to Dr. Priyanka Patil. She is the topper of DA from IGGMC. Congratulations, Dr. Priyanka. She is not there. She is collecting on her behalf. It consists of a finger probe, pulse oximeter and a certificate. Next is the Prestige Nursing Home Award. For this year, it goes to Archana Deshpande. It is for the most active member of ISA NCB and the member attending maximum programs. Congratulations, Archana.
The next award for today's evening is Mrs. Vaishali Malegaonkar Memorial Case Presentation Competition Award. And this was held in MT Petankar Hall in the month of April. And the winner of the first prize and the winner is Dr. Bhuvaneshwari Bala Subramaniam. And she's not here. Dr. Leena Ingle will receive the award on her behalf. Many congratulations to Dr. Bhuvaneshwari. The second prize for the Mrs. Vaishali Malegaonkar Memorial Case Presentation Competition Award goes to Dr. Vijay Patil. Dr. Vijay Patil will be receiving the award at the hands of Dr. Manisha Katikar, Madam. This award was started by our past president and senior member, Dr. Charutha Gadkari, Madam, in the memory of her sister, Mrs. Vaishali Malegaonkar. Our next award is Srimati Sushila Sathe Memorial Award for Professional Excellence, and this award goes to our very dear Dr. Sheetal Dalal, Madam, for exemplary contribution in academics and in her profession. Dr. Sheetal Dalal, Madam, is the past president of ISA. She is also the GC member, MSc ISA, and she is the member of National COVID Task Force. Hearty congratulations, Madam. So moving on to our next award, the Best Poster Presentation, sponsored by Dr. Mrs. Krishna S. Kale. So this year, this prestigious Mrs. Krishna S. Kale Award goes to Dr. Gauri Arora, the first prize for the poster presentation competition. Dr. Bure Madam will be presenting this award to Dr. Gauri Arora. Many congratulations once again, ma'am. The second prize goes to Dr. Madhushri Chandak for the poster presentation competition. Congratulations, Dr. Madhushri.
Next is Shri Gopal Rao and Srimati Chayatai Patil Award for Female MD Topper from MUHS, started by Ratna Vaghaye Madam, retired professor, in the memory of her parents to promote female education and encouragement. The award consists of airway, gadget TASCO and a certificate. It goes this year to Dr. Amitha K. She belongs to IGGMC. She's topper in MD. Congratulations, Amita. Next is Sindhutai Ingle Award for Best Public Awareness. It is sponsored by our own Bhure Madam for Best Public Awareness. And it is deserved by none other than Dr. Vaishali Shelgaonkar Madam for her exemplary work. She's received many awards, and this will be another feather in her cap. Congratulations, Madam. Please give her a big round of applause. On World Anesthesia Day, we had arranged some extracurricular art, slogan and photography exhibition for our members. There are inherent hidden qualities and talents in so many of us which have to be explored. In the exhibition, the art gallery, poster and painting section, Nita Deshpande bags the first award. Madam, please come forward. An astute painter with such a fine art in her hand and brushes and paints, she makes miraculous paintings. Second prize is backed by Priya Saudi of NKP. Hina will take on her behalf. In slogan category, Anjali Borkar bags first prize and second prize goes to Priya Sadavati. I request Anjali and Priya to come forward and take their respective prizes. Congratulations, Anjali. Congratulations, Priya. Dev sir is presenting her. In photography section, winner is Niranjan Kulkarni from NKP SIMS and runner-up also from NKP, Dr. Akshay Sabre. I call upon both of them. They are not there. So Hina will take.
Their teacher is going to receive all the awards for them this time.
Next is debate competition. It was held in the month of February and the winners were, it was a tie for the first prize, Dr. Vikramarsi and Dr. Nilesh Mathankar. I request both of them to come forward and receive the prize.
So, Dr. Mathankar is receiving both the first prizes.
Hajir Suvajir. All the debaters were at par. And the second prize is backed by Deepak Madankar. I request him to please come forward to receive the same.
Congratulations to all the winners once again. They say a pat on the back can make you walk an extra mile. That's the kind of appreciation and encouragement the team members give each other. Yes, my dear friends, it is the time for the President Appreciation Award. So may I call upon GC member Dr. Saurabh Berde sir for the President Appreciation Award for being the constant pillar of support and for his diligence and relentless efforts for the smooth functioning of ISA NCB. Next in the category is Best Public Awareness Award that goes to none other than Dr. Sonali Bhagat. She has conducted the most number of COLS activities. And with that, a special certificate, President Appreciation Certificate for Best Public Awareness goes to Dr. Dilip Vasnik. And next, I would like to call upon Dr. Anjali Modak Borkar to come forward and to receive her certificate of appreciation for her work in public awareness. The President Appreciation Award for Best Membership Drive goes to Dr. Hina Pahuja. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for Team ISA 2021-22. May I request all the dignitaries and guests to kindly occupy their chairs on the stage.
Now is the time to listen to our guests.
And now, for the most awaited award of the evening, Mrs. Kamlabai Deshpande Memorial Lifetime Achievement Award. This tradition was started in 2003 as an attempt to acknowledge and recognize the contribution of stalwarts of ISA family who have worked relentlessly to make ISA family what it is today. Dr. S.K. Deshpande sir has sponsored this award in memory of his beloved mother. This time, it is conferred upon a very popular, respectable, and knowledgeable and loving anesthesiologist, Dr. Pratibha Deshmukh Madam. Before we proceed with the award ceremony, I would like to request Dr. Vidula Kapre Madam to kindly throw some light on the life and achievements of Pratibha Deshmukh Madam.
Yeah. Hello. Dignitaries on the dais, chief guest for today's program, Dr. Prakash Dev, President IMA Nagpur, Vice President IMA Maharashtra, special guest of honor, Dr. Manisha Katikar, President ISA Maharashtra, guest of honor, Dr. Anjali Bhure, Vice President ISA National, Dr. Kiran Vyavhare, President ISA Nagpur City Branch, Honorary Secretary Dr. Sarita Zogrekar, Treasurer Dr. Sachin Makde, respected seniors and dear friends. It is indeed my proud privilege to introduce this year's Lifetime Achievement Awardee, Dr. Pratibha Deshmukh. So, last week when Kiran told me about this, I was super excited. Then came the slight dilemma with the dates because on these very dates, today and tomorrow, Niti Clinics is conducting national level live surgical workshop. But anyways, I knew that no way I would miss this opportunity to share the moment of glory of my dear friend, Dr. Pratibha. So that dilemma was short-lived. But the real dilemma was, here is such a prominent figure in ISA, and how am I to introduce her to this audience? All the seniors here who have been her teachers, I can see Ranjana madam, Kale madam, they already know her as a extremely hardworking and diligent student. Although so few here who are her colleagues know her to be a ever smiling, ever helpful, competent anesthesiologist. All the juniors here look up to her as a role model. Okay, then I thought, let us just briefly trace her life journey. चला बघूया प्रतिभाची प्रतिभा कशी विकसत गेली आणि तिने आयुष्याचे उच्चांक कसे कसे गाठले. Born on 3rd July 1956, I doubt if any of you know that for her family and close friends, she is Nandu, the eldest of 3 siblings, and we already know Dr. Madhuri as a capable physician and a very good teacher. On 6th May 1980, she married Dr. Uday Deshmukh, who has established himself as a successful general practitioner. In November 1981, Pratibha was awarded MD Anesthesia from Government Medical College, Nagpur. But immediately after that, her entry into private practice was no less than a battle. She had no medical background from the family, no hospital attachments, so it was a big challenge indeed. Add to that, she had her motherly duties to attend to because by then baby Amrut had arrived on the scene. He suffered from lactose intolerance. And you can see here, he's quite chubby and healthy, advertising for soya milk because that's what he could have. But before the diagnosis was made, he had several health issues. And it was a very difficult task for Pratibha to manage her professional as well as her domestic commitments. In fact, on nights, Dr. Uday with Pratibha carrying baby Amrut on her lap, all three of them would go on a two-wheeler when she had to attend emergency calls. I think it's only her gutsy determination that made her tide over those difficult times. But I will tell you, inside that hard exterior is a very soft heart. He's Ashichi Rani, Hridayani Agdi Komal. And one funny incident that she has shared with me, I would like to tell you here. Amrut, as a school going child, like any other boy, would be more interested in playing rather than studying. And that would cause a lot of anguish to Pratibha. In fact, one day he said, मी बॉल खेळतो तू माझं पुस्तक वाच मी खेळता खेळता ऐकून घेईन अँड शी इवन डिड दॅट I think now she can look back on it and smile about it because he is now a well settled software engineer. But soon she got her foothold in private practice and also gained the confidence of surgeons. Now this slide here, although anesthesia gathering, it's not a dig at surgeons, but it is to highlight Pratibha's qualities. Because in her very early years of practice, she was the sole anesthesiologist for stalwart surgeons like Marva sir, Bhattacharya madam. And equally appreciable is the fact that when she herself became an established senior anesthesiologist, she never refused calls from any junior surgeons. In fact, she would help them tide over many difficult situations. Her practice covered a wide range of specialties: general surgery, orthopedics, ENT, pediatric bronchoscopy, but undoubtedly, I think we can crown her as the reigning queen of obstetric anesthesia. And I thought if I have to share with you all the nice things that all the surgeons had to say about her, then even this evening will not be sufficient. So I have included here what a couple of obstetricians have to say, and I hope this video runs. So there's Dr. Parashar madam. Oh, that will be a shame because Dr. Parashar madam and Dr. Sadhana Deshmukh have such nice things like anybody else would also, but I thought I'll include just a couple to give you a glimpse of how she has gained the confidence and profuse appreciation. Okay, इसके पहले वाला इसमें sound. I think we may have to have a different session for surgeons' comments on Pratibha. And I'm sorry that you cannot hear this, but you can understand that it's all praises, praises, and praises. And profuse praise from a surgeon. What more certificate an anesthesiologist would want? So, nahi, sound nahi hai. Maybe from my mobile I could have made you hear. If we can figure out, we'll play it later. If a video doesn't get stuck during a presentation, I think it would be something surprising. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, but I think if I ask somebody to say one sentence each, we'll have all the content, most efficient, most capable, very good at her craft, attending emergencies at any time. Another thing which, how wherever she works, she's remembered even years later. So Sadhna had said that her practice of calling every patient as Rani, obstetric patients, and I think the kind of mental, emotional state that they are in, if somebody addresses them with great affection, they really, it is acts like a moral booster. So what Sadhna had to say is that even now patients keep asking and remembering the doctor ji amala Rani and Queen असं म्हणायची. So it's next पे जा सकते हैं. Yeah, I think so. Okay. Well, as far as I am concerned, when I had just returned from UK and everything here was so new to me, Pratibha literally handheld me in the management of open ether anesthesia, KM bottle, remembering days at Matru Seva Sangh where Marwa sir used to do his polio surgeries, bellows and so on. But not just Matru Seva Sangh. In the early days of Niti clinics later on, she was there for any difficult surgery. She was there for our Milghat camp. She was there for our thyroid surgical workshop. Always there whenever needed. And although now we do miss those times, we keep saying to each other, we do miss working together. But I tell you, she will always remain to be in the home team of Niti Clinics. And for that, I'll share you a proof. Just the other day, I was talking with my daughter Niti, की नीती आपलं वर्कशॉप पण आहे, पण मला ओटीतनं लवकर जावं लागेल, कारण त्याच दिवशी आमचा annual day पण आहे. Her first reaction, you know, was, ठीक आहे ना, आपण प्रतिभा मावशीला बोलवून घेऊ. So little did she know that this is the reason I am here. Such is the mark she leaves with all those she has ever worked with. And her stamp of success can be seen even in her ISA journey. Now, sorry, I'll just refer to my paper because there's lots to be said about what all she has done during her secretary and presidentship. I'll just get those. Pratibha was honorary secretary in year 1993-95 when Dr. Mashankar was president. They had many firsts to their credit. First, anesthesia awareness exhibition. First, Ether Day celebration. Dr. Shabde Traveling Fellowship was started in their tenure, and anesthesia quiz for postgraduates was also revived. Highlights of her presidential tenure in 2003 to 2005. A highly successful regional anesthesia workshop was held at RST Cancer Hospital. And now, the newer working teams of ISA NCB will not believe, but in those days to conduct such a big scale workshop was a huge achievement. She also hosted the WFSA CME, probably the first time for ISA Nagpur City branch. And at our ISA National Conference, which was held in Nagpur, I think against all odds, Pratibha wonderfully organized workshop on mechanical ventilation. And now, in her second innings, she has made this difficult transition from private practice to academic institution. In 2019, Pratibha has joined Shalini Tai Meghe Hospital as HOD, Department of Anesthesiology. She has set up the department from scratch, and in this short span, she has managed to have 7 running operation theaters, conducted 2 international webinars, and obtained 6 copyrights. I'm sure there is a lot more on her mind that she wants to achieve. And in this field, I think her flight has just taken off. Whereas on the domestic front, definitely she has made a happy landing. Picture perfect family, Dr. Uday with Pratibha, son Amrut, married to Siddhi, both well-settled software engineers in US, and the cute little granddaughter, Sia. So Pratibha, Lifetime Achievement Award is no way a full stop. It is just a comma. And I'm sure you will be achieving lots in the future. So wishing all the best for her future endeavors. and wishing that this radiant smile remains forever, I present before you Dr. Pratibha Deshmukh. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Vidula Kabri ma'am. May I kindly request all the guests to please come forward for the felicitation and award ceremony of our respected Dr. Pratibha Deshmukh madam, and present her with a shawl and shrifal. I would like to request S.K. Deshpande sir to kindly join in. Yes. It's indeed such a big day for all of us. Late Srimati Kamlabai Deshpande Memorial Lifetime Achievement Award. Late Srimati Kamlabai Deshpande Memorial Lifetime Achievement Award is presented to Dr. Pratibha Amin Deshmukh in recognition of your immense contribution to the specialty of anesthesia as the president and later as an active member. Your scintillating career from a spirited freelancer to head of an academic institution has inspired many budding anesthesiologists. You have been a guiding star to many students. Your able administration and excellence in academics will always be appreciated. We are proud of you, and we will always treasure your values and blessings bestowed upon us. IAC family, thank you, madam, once again.
I request family members of Pratibha madam to kindly join. I appreciate presence of Dr. Bhalla. She is Deshmukh madam's friend.
I would request Dr. Pratibha Deshmukh madam to kindly say a few words. Madam.
आज नो एक्सटेम्पोर स्पीच आणि खिचडी लँग्वेज सेंटी झाल्यानंतर पुष्कळ गोष्टी विसरल्या जातात. Respected dignitaries on the dais, of the dais, President Dr. Kiran, Secretary Dr. Sarita, National Vice President Guest of Honor Dr. Anjali, special guest Dr. Manisha, our chief guest Dr. Dev, my respected teachers, friends and my family. My close friend has just come She has all the way came from London, Dr. Aruna Bhala. She is wife of Dr. Bhala, our own anesthesiologist. I am emotionally overwhelmed today. The love and affection I received from my ISA family is unique. Dr. Vidula is my friend, and she finds everything nice in me. Thanks, Vidula. Despite her tight schedule today, being busy in ongoing ENT workshop, she is here for me only. I humbly accept the honor bestowed on me today. Thank you, ISA Nagpur City branch, and thank you, Deshpande family. My generation has witnessed a lot of changes, taking us from one spectra at one end to the other end of the spectra. We have come a long way from open ether to workstations and low flows. The communication too has been fastest. Now, from handwritten postcards in my secretaryship, we have come to WhatsApp communication and e-flyers. Trunk calls, STD has been replaced by mobiles. When I look back, I feel my choices were like spot registration. I don't remember to be focusing on a particular achievement. Probably I was destined to cross the bridges when encountered. But I tell you, once I decided to cross, my nature is to give myself fully to it with best of my ability. This pondering is in context with the honor given to me today. हे आता मी आधीच म्हटलं की माझी लँग्वेज खिचडी राहणार आहे. हा स्पॉट रजिस्ट्रेशनचा सिलसिला सुरू झाला ॲनेस्थेशिया में PG रजिस्ट्रेशन घेण्याच्या पासून. माय गुरु, माय मेंटर, आपले भीष्म पितामह पद्मश्री डॉक्टर मारवा, आमचे मारवा सर, ही लिटरली पुश्ड मी टू ॲनेस्थेशिया. I was facilitated to surgery and was getting registrar's post too. In those days, it was very prestigious to get registrar's post. But with that in mind, I never opted for house job in OB2, though I was qualifying for the post. त्या काळात surgery, obstetrics आणि medicine, they were most sought after branches. But I joined anesthesia. Then about private practice. मला आमचे गुरुवर्य प्रधान सर म्हणायचे, प्रतिभा तुझा पिंड नाही आहे प्रायव्हेट प्रॅक्टिसचा. पण MD पास झाले आणि मारवा सरांना भेटायला त्यांच्या क्लिनिकमध्ये पोहोचले. मी त्यांची शेवटची हाऊस ऑफिसर आणि त्यांची मानसकन्या. ते म्हणाले, संपली का रजिस्ट्रारची पोस्ट? म्हटलं हो संपली. जॉब आहे का? नाही आहे. बस उद्यापासून येऊन जा. आय प्रॉमिस यू आय विल गिव्ह यू ऑल केसेस. आणि ते त्यांनी तसंच केलं. आणि मी तेव्हापासून म्हणजे माझी रजिस्ट्रारची पोस्ट संपली 31 जानेवारी 1982 आणि फेब्रुवारी 82 पासून मी फ्रीलान्सिंग सुरू केलं. ते करून पाहू हे फार जरुरी असतो. त्यावेळेला बेलोज आणि इथरवर आम्ही काम करायचो. सर हातात पेंटाथॉल आणि स्कोलिन घेऊन उभे राहायचे, व्हेंटिलेट करायचे, ट्यूब टाकली की ऑस्कल्टेट करायचे, माझ्या हातात स्टिकिंग सुद्धा द्यायचे. हे असं कोणी इतका सिनियर माणूस करणं म्हणजे माझ्याकरता ती फारच मोठी गोष्ट होती. सुरुवात झाली. त्यानंतर त्यांच्याबरोबरचं मातृ सेवा संघात केलेलं चिल्ड्रन ऑर्थोपेडिक हॉस्पिटलचं काम आम्ही तब्बल 25 वर्ष केलं. सोमवार गुरुवार आम्ही 8 ते 9 तिथे जात होतो. विदला आहे त्याला विटनेस. आणि आम्ही 10,000च्या वर सर्जरीज केल्या साधारणपणे, पोलिओ सर्जरीज. यानंतर तर काय कारवा जुडत गया. लेबर एपिड्युरल्स वगैरे वगैरे सगळे इंट्रोडक्शन, पहिल्यांदा इंट्रोड्यूस करणं वगैरे हे सगळं होत गेलं. पण हे माझं मेजर जे होतं ते सरांच्यापासून माझं सुरू झालं. माझ्या गाईड माणकेश्वर मॅडम, माझा पाठीवरचा हात, त्यांनी मला PG करताना सांगितलं होतं, टेन्शन नको घेऊ प्रतिभा, जास्त अभ्यास करू नको. जर का काही बरं वाईट झालं तर उगीच सासरची माणसं म्हणतील मोठीवाली अभ्यास करणारी. आणि अडीअडचणीला नेहमी मदतीला हात देणाऱ्या माझ्या फडके मॅडम, मी यांना कधीच नाही विसरणार. घोष सर माझे चौथे गुरु. त्यांच्या संपर्कात विरुद्धाने म्हणण्यासारखे मी 2000च्या व्हेंटिलेशनच्या वर्कशॉपसाठी म्हणून त्यांनी माझ्यावर जी जबाबदारी टाकली तेव्हा मी त्यांच्या संपर्कात आले. 15च दिवस राहिले होते कॉन्फरन्सला आणि त्यांनी मला म्हटलं हे करून टाक. आणि सुदैवाने मला खूप छान छान मित्रमैत्रिणी भेटले आणि माझ्या टीचर कम मैत्रीण आपल्या समोर बसलेल्या रंजना मॅडम आणि राधिका मारवा दोघी धावून आल्या आणि आम्ही तिघींनी मिळून ते वर्कशॉप सक्सेसफुली केलं. तेव्हापासून सिन्स देन घोष सर इज ए कॉन्स्टंट सोर्स ऑफ गायडन्स टू मी. इट्स हिम हू पुश मी टू JNMC. मला प्रत्येक वेळेला पुशच मिळाला जिकडे तिकडे. म्हणूनच मी म्हटलं की मी प्रत्येक गोष्ट अशी काही ठरवून बिरवून काही केली नाही, ती होत गेली. अँड नाव आय एम ॲट DMMC. 2012 माझी मैत्रीण संध्या मोटघरे तिने लिटरली मला ओढलं IGMCमध्ये कॉन्ट्रॅक्च्युअल बेसिसवर AP म्हणून आणि मी ते पण 3.5 वर्ष काम तिथे केलं. During the span of my career, I am fortunate to have very good surgeons and obstetric friends who are as good as my family. The surgeon anesthesiologist relationship was a perfect symbiosis. And about my family, of course, I always took my husband for granted. And he too granted himself wholeheartedly. माझं सासर माहेर, it was a strong pillar of emotional pillar to me and a strong support to me. Last but not the least, my ISA NCB family. I owe my confidence to Dr. Mashankar. He gave me free hand during my secretaryship, and Dr. Vidula has already mentioned about what first of its kind we started during my secretaryship as well as during my presidentship. त्या काळामध्ये ॲनेस्थेशिया अवेअरनेस एक्झिबिशनमधून 70,000 उभं करणं म्हणजे खूपच मोठा पैसा होता आणि आम्ही फारच अगदी 7व्या आसमानात होतो त्यावेळेला. खूप आनंद झाला होता आम्हाला. तेव्हा टुडे आय फील प्राऊड ऑफ माय यंगस्टर्स हू आर टेकिंग फुल एफर्ट्स टू टेक अवर सोसायटी हायर अँड हायर. आता चित्रही खूप बदललं आहे आणि खूप छान छान गोष्टी होतात आणि मला खरंच खूप अभिमान वाटतो माझ्या यंगस्टर्सचा की ते किती मेटिक्युलसली आणि छान काम करतात आहे. जे म्हणजे ज्ञानेश्वर माऊलींनी म्हटलं इवलेसे रोप लावियले द्वारी तयाचा वेलो गेला गगनावर, असा आपल्या ISA NCBचा वेल बहरलेला आहे. In the end, I would like to stress, no one is either gifted or born expert. It's the will to put the efforts. माझा आदर्श म्हणजे ज्ञानोबा माऊली. राजहंसाचे चालणे भूतळी झाली या शहाणे आणि के काय कोणे चालवेचिना. चालत राहा, करत राहा. धन्यवाद.
Thank you very much, ma'am. So before we move on, a quick announcement that Indian Society of Anesthesiologists, Nagpur City branch, in association with Indira Gandhi Government Medical College, is organizing Airway Update on 26th June, and the workshop starts at 8 a.m. Kindly do the registration. They are available online, and you can contact Dr. Sonali Bhagat for the same.
Now is the time to listen to our guests. We start with hearing words of wisdom from our special guest, Dr. Manisha Katikar, President MSISA. I request Dr. Sheetal Dalal to introduce her formally to the audience.
Respected dignitaries on the dais, of the dais, all my respected seniors, the galaxy of past president of ISA NCB, and my colleagues. Good evening, everyone. Being a woman, there is a question always come in my mind. What is woman involvement? For me, my answer is very simple. A woman with a sense of self-worth, then woman who determine her choices, who knows how to grasp and access the opportunities and resources with the great confidence, who knows the act of balancing between personal and professional life within and outside the home, who has tremendous ability to influence the society in the appropriate manner, a lady with a great leadership quality, and the answer is our own Honorable President of Maharashtra Chapter ISA, Dr. Manisha Katikar ma'am. It's my honor and privilege to introduce officially today's special guest of honor and speaker for late Dr. E.G. Tambe Memorial Oration on this annual day, Dr. Manisha Katikar madam. She has completed her schooling and graduation from our own city, Nagpur, a GMCN. DA from JJ Mumbai and MD Anesthesia from Tata Mayor Memorial Hospital, Mumbai. She is a practicing anesthesiologist at Solapur since 26 years, exclusively neuroanesthesia. Presently working as a chief anesthesiologist and intensivist at Balwan Institute of Neurosurgery and Intensive Trauma Care, Solapur. She is the associate editor of IJA. She is a national ISA coordinator, a cultural club. She was GC member of Maharashtra State Chapter ISA in 2008 and 10. She is a founder editor of MISA News. She has held various posts at Maharashtra State ISA as a secretary-elect, secretary, vice president, then president-elect, and now she is a president Maharashtra State Chapter ISA 21-22. She presented lots of paper and poster at various state and national conferences, and to her credit received best paper, best poster and best essay awards. She has been faculty for 15 times at state level, 20 times at national level, and 15 webinars she is delivered in this COVID area on various subjects in anesthesia, critical care, and neuroanesthesia. She has many publications at various journals. She received 3 times Proficiency Award National 2017, 19, and 21, COLS Award National in 2021, and very prestigious Dr. Rukmini Pandit Award in 2021 ISACON Ahmedabad. She also received COVID Warrior Award at Solapur in 2021. Here I am presenting before you the strongest, the most talented, wonderful woman with a great leadership quality, आमच्या नागपूरची मुलगी Dr. Manisha Katikar ma'am. Welcome ma'am.
Thank you, Sheetal. I request Manisha Katikar madam to please guide us.
Thank you, Sheetal, for such a nice introduction. I am really humbled and honored. Respected chief guest for today's function, Dr. Prakash Dev sir, Vice President ISA National, Dr. Anjali Bure madam, President ISA Nagpur, Dr. Kiran Vevare, Secretary, Dr. Sarita Zogalekar, and Dr. Sachin Makde, Treasurer ISA Nagpur, Dr. Saurabh Barde, Dr. Sheetal Dalal, the governing council members who are representing ISA Nagpur at Maharashtra State Chapter ISA level, Dr. Pratibha Deshmukh madam, today's star. I think she is meeting her friends outside. Madam is there. Respected dignitaries of the dais, the teachers, respected seniors, and my dear friends. It is my great pleasure to visit ISA Nagpur twice. I joined my president tenure 6 months back on the same platform at the same auditorium as president of Maharashtra State Chapter ISA. And I am really humbled and honored to attend this annual day celebration. Yes, ISA Nagpur is the prestigious branch of ISA National. This branch is consistently getting Best Branch Award for many years. I am surprised to see the enthusiasm of Team ISA Nagpur. The team is full of dedication and efforts. And once they accept the position of office bearers, काहीतरी चमत्कारच होतो त्यांच्यामध्ये. They work to the fullest of their capabilities. The unity and dynamism of ISA Nagpur is even praised at national level. Maharashtra State Chapter ISA is also a proud recipient of Best State Chapter Award for years together. And I feel that ISA Nagpur deserves a great share
for this consistent prestigious award to Maharashtra ISA. And with 80 and more academic activities lined up in this year, already over in this year, I think Dr. Kiran, you are going to get many more awards this year. मॅडम तुम्ही बरोबर बोललात. इवलेसे रोप पण आज खरंच हे इवलेसे रोप गगनाला जाऊन भेटलेले आहे. आणि आय मस्ट सॅल्यूट टू ऑल दोज लीडर्स अँड पास्ट प्रेसिडेंट्स अँड सिनियर रिस्पेक्टेबल टीचर्स अँड मेंटॉर्स ऑफ ISA Nagpur who have always guided ISA Nagpur, and ISA Nagpur has really become not only number one branch of ISA Maharashtra, but at the national ISA also. Something little about the activities of Maharashtra State Chapter ISA. Well, you all know that we are successfully conducting various webinars, various master classes and interactive sessions for past 8 months on various specialties. We have already completed webinars on cardiac anesthesia, neuroanesthesia, obstetric and pediatric anesthesia, difficult airway, preoperative investigations, obesity anesthesia. We will continue with master classes and interactive sessions on regional anesthesia, medical legal aspects, pain and laparoscopic surgeries in next 4 months by inviting various masters in the field of anesthesia and distinguished faculties. Maharashtra State ISA has already conducted 4 ISA sponsored CMEs in a great way at Karad, Thane, Aurangabad and Sangli Miraz. Many state and national academic activities are still lined up in next few months. We will be conducting our state PGCon on 2nd and 3rd July at ISA Karad. Mahayuvacon is organized by ISA Nashik on 24th and 25th July. 5th ISA sponsored CME will be hosted by ISA Solapur on 20th August, and I invite you all for this CME. West Zone PG Assembly will be hosted by ISA Pimpri Chinchwad from 9 to 12 September, and at the same time, along with so many academic events lined up, we are going to conduct few non-academic events also. Maharashtra ISA sports event will be hosted by ISA Nagpur, and it will be conducted on 17th and 18th of September. I especially thank Dr. Kiran Vevare, Dr. Sarita Zoglekar and team ISA Nagpur for accepting this invitation of Maharashtra State Chapter ISA to host this first ever Maharashtra State sports event. Thank you, Dr. Saurabh Barde, in initiating this activity at state level. We have already submitted our state video on MUSI webinar to National ISA, and many of the Nagpur ISIans have already contributed to this MUSI webinar. It will be released by ISA National by the National ISA Secretary. We plan to celebrate Yoga Day on 21st June, Guru Purnima on 13th July, and Teachers Day on 5th of September. We conducted successful events like Musical Morning. Thank you, Gauri, for helping me to sort out the musical event. That was in fact the first event in my career as President of Maharashtra Chapter ISA. Well, we have another musical plans in this year. We are going to have a music program on Ashadi Ekadashi, as well as again the Diwali Pahad 2022, and I'm sure that all music lovers of ISA Nagpur along with Dr. Gauri Alora will participate in that event. And the most interesting event which we are planning for our state chapter activity is a trip of all our members of Maharashtra State Chapter ISA, Dr. Ganpati Pule, at Ganpati Pule in last week of September on the occasion of World Tourism Day. So looking forward for more and more active participation from ISA Nagpur. Long live Maharashtra State Chapter ISA, long live ISA. Thank you so much.
Thank you, madam. I request madam to release our essence issue. I request Gauri and Rashmi, editor and co-editor of Essence, to join. Release of Essence at the hands of Manisha Katikar, madam.
Dr. Gauri Arora and Dr. Rashmi Shinghari being the editor and co-editor of Essence.
प्राऊड मोमेंट्स जे काय मॅडमचं
बहुत फास्ट चला जाता है ना, दबा के रखा।
नाही नाही दबा मत
हाँ, बहुत फास्ट चला जाता है।
मॅडमला आत्ताच ऑनलाईन बेसिक कोर्स मेडिकल रिसर्च वर
डॉक्टर राजेंद्र राय की 45 4 लाख 40,000
इसके गौरी के मिडिल स्पेस रवंगे मॅडमनी
पेन
पेन
आणि सौरभने पण सुरू केले
त्यांनी पण USG गायडेड म्हणजे नाही वर्कशॉपपेक्षा ते सेशन हे लेक्चर ट्रेनिंग सेशन ट्रेनिंग सुरू थँक्यू
Dr. Bhalla wants to speak about Pratibha Deshmukh, madam.
She's a very good doctor. She's a dear friend. But there are so many things kind of really I got to know. So thank you for that. So I'm Anuna Bhala. From 1973 batch, for many years ago. And I'm glad to see so many of my friends here, Dr. Thambe from our batch, and also S.K. Deshpande, who is very dear to us. So it's always an honor to come back to Nagpur, and many of you I don't know, but still that connection is there. I have lived in UK for more than 40 years. The only other connection I have with anesthesia is because my husband is an anesthetist and he's still working. And so that is the connection. He's still working, so that's the reason he's not here. But I'm retired, so I'm a very free person now to travel. And this is my second trip to India in last 3-4 months. And I'll be traveling to Amravati this evening. And I'm here just to spend time with my mother. But I'm glad as well that I managed to see so many of you. So congratulations again, Pratibha. And I'm sure, she'll be still kind of really flying with very distinctive colors, because she's very committed. Thank you again.
Thank you, ma'am. Her batchmate, Dr. Tambe, also wants to say a few words.
I must say that our batch, we had highest numbers of anesthesiologists from our batch, and mostly girls. I must tell you that those days where I'm talking, and one of the finest persons I met, she was with me. Bhalla has left. Oh, Bhalla. Her husband has visited Nagpur as a speaker, as an invitee for annual day, and I distinctly remember he's in UK and doing so well, and really helped us in exchanging the knowledge those days, because it's very difficult. No internet, no Googles, nothing. But he really helped. And since you had come, I thought I will speak something about a smiling face, always smiling, and we had all the professors from our batch today who are practicing. One is in UK, Girling. She is from MD from Nagpur, our batchmate. Khatija Arif, who is now in Sion, and who is also professor and head. So most of them of our batch. What I appreciate about, one of the things which I appreciate about her is starting a career as a private anesthetist without visiting, because that concept those days were to visit a good centers to get a knowledge. It's not that you get a knowledge from visiting the good centers. That was my idea. But looking at her, what she proved me wrong. she really came from a private background and becoming a professor and head and really practicing so well. And so because we interact quite well, you know, I had a lot of association of her because she, in a private practice, I was so lucky that I used to get a patient from all fraternities and I used to treat them. So with this, I really wish and I really congratulate you for your timely deserved appreciation. I thank SK and starting this and giving you this. Thank you very much.
Just 1 minute. When Pratibha took over, I think Dr. Richard Jack was there as a, he came to for one conducting one anesthesia. She was secretary. Richard Jack, and Dr. Tambe was instrumental in getting him in Nagpur.
Those things I will not mention because they will be
No. I want to quote one incident. So that time Dr. Marwa was the chief guest for the program, and he just told the people, and while discussing with Dr. Richard Jack, he said that I do the laminectomy without intubation in half an hour. So he was surprised. It is not possible. So next day morning, I think he demonstrated. Pratibha had given pentothal and lateral position and demonstrated to him that the laminectomy is possible. He accepted that. So I think it's a skill of Marwa sir and a skill of Pratibha also to demonstrate in front of a foreign faculty. Thank you.
Please. Richard Jack was from Hammersmith Hospital, and we were lucky that you know the top cream of Boston leakiers came. Sundaram came from Boston, from Harvard, and so we were lucky in our time, Dr. Dev, that how we really developed the confidence in getting one of the finest speakers of the world. One of the finest speakers of the world, because that time it was so difficult to get communications with now your e-sense release has really will make the wonder, but those days it was so difficult, but then still we were lucky, Nagpur being a base, and we were lucky that we got enthusiastic people like them as the secretaries. I remember all those who were, because I was just a silent observer, a backbencher. In all my years, I was there. Right, since he brought about the name of Richard Jack, so all good memories of
I would like to invite our guest of honor for today, Dr. Bhure Madam, to say a few words. Bhure Madam is presently the Vice President, ISA National, Professor and Head of the Department Anesthesiologist, NKP SIMS. She is on MSc ISA Advisory Board. It's an honor to have you here, ma'am.
Thank you, MOCs. A happy and joyous evening. Today's distinguished chief guest, Dr. Prakash Dev sir, President IMA Nagpur and Vice President IMA Maharashtra State. Dr. Manisha Gatikar, person with a bright smile. At the moment she is not smiling, but she has a bright smile. She is a special person for today's program, and she is near and dear to every member of ISA NCB. She has an innate ability to inspire everyone around her. Dr. Saurabh Bade and Dr. Sheetal Dalal, GC Maharashtra State ISA from Nagpur City Branch. Dr. Kiran Vevare, President ISA NCB. Dr. Sarita Zoglekar, Honorary Secretary. Dr. Sachin, Honorary Treasurer, ISA NCB. Other esteemed office bearers of ISA NCB, past presidents, senior teachers, other esteemed dignitaries, and my dear members. ISA National is pleased to participate in the celebration of Annual Day of ISA NCB and brings warm greetings and appreciates immense contribution of every member to make this branch the best one in the nation. ISA is a universal platform for Indian anesthesiologists, Dr. Dev, and it is aiming for achieving academic excellence by holding conferences, CMEs, workshops, PG assemblies, online PG classes, and so on. It also promotes non-academic talents by encouraging members to join various ISA programs like Fit Anesthesiologists, Cultural Club, Sports, Art and Literary, Family Benevolent Fund, Legal Cell, and so on. IMA is a very strong association and we are very fortunate to have Dr. Dev sir with us. Sir, we are extremely thankful for the valuable guidance and timely help offered by IMA. And ISA will be happy to have joint programs with IMA to serve the society like we are having public awareness programs now. So you would be glad to know, sir, that Indian Society of Anesthesiologists is having 37,000 members all over the nation. So this is a day when achievers from academic as well as non-academic fields are felicitated for their accomplishments and exemplary work. The world is full of diamonds, gems, and little angels, and we are having some of them here today. So we will be celebrating, remembering, acknowledging, and admiring the achievements of our members as well as family members too. I must congratulate Pratibha Madam for today's award, Lifetime Achievement Award, Madam. I take pride in acknowledging the one who have been with the society and their sincere efforts has brought laurels to the society. Heartiest congratulations for being the dynamic team for great accomplishment and making this city the best branch for consecutive years. Long live ISA.
Dr. Saurabh Barde to please introduce our chief guest for today's program.
Namaskar. Respected dignitaries on the dais, off the dais, my teachers, my seniors and dear friends. Before I introduce today's chief guest, I'd like to quote one incident. In the third week of March 2020, there was a meeting in Dean's office for Corona task force or Corona related things, and I attended that meeting as prospective president of ISA Nagpur City branch. Dean was taking information, instructions from everyone, and the one person I was attracted to hear was Dr. Dev sir. Perfect talk, no nonsense, absolutely fantastic thoughts were all the things he was talking. Dr. Dev sir, presently President of IMA Nagpur for the year 2022-23, Vice President of IMA Maharashtra State Chapter, IMA Maharashtra State Chapter 2021-22. He is a regular CWC member of IMA headquarters for more than 10 years. He is an honorary professor, Community Health, IMA. He is a public health specialist with postgraduate diploma in health management, and he has also specialty on training management from Management Sciences for Health from Boston, USA. He is a specialist on health financing from World Bank Institute, Bangkok. He has a postgraduate certificate course on adults and health. He has been awarded WHO fellowship on use of traditional medicine in primary health care. He is an international trainer on adults and health and on gender issues. A very rare achievement for him. A medical doctor, he is a retired international civil services officer of UNO, United Nations Organization. He has traveled to more than 50 countries across the globe on official missions. He was involved in more than 25 operation research products to credit, of which 7 recommendations have become integral part of national health programs. संपवण्याआधी मी हे बोलतो की एक वाक्य आहे, उद्यमेनेही सिद्धांती कार्य आणि न मनोरथेही. म्हणजे काहीतरी काम केल्यावरच तुमचं कार्य पूर्ण होऊ शकतं, नुसतं स्वप्न पाहून नाही. अँड ही इज परफेक्ट एक्झाम्पल ऑफ दॅट, डॉक्टर देव सर.
Thank you, Dr. Saurabh. May I now request our chief guest, Dr. Prakash Deo sir, to kindly say a few words.
Good evening, everybody. dignitaries on the dais, Dr. Mrs. Katikar, President ASI, Dr. Vyavhare, Dr. Zoglekar, Dr. Makde, Dr. Bhure, Lifetime Achievement Awardee Dr. Pratibha, hearty congratulations, and all the awardees who received felicitation today for their excellent work. My heartfelt congratulations. All distinguished audience, guests, and I find some of my senior colleagues also in the audience, Deshpande Madam, Pandey Madam. I am from 1970 batch. I was just thinking what I should speak at this juncture. The first my confusion was, is it World or International Anesthesia Day? और सुबह में जब उठा तो मुझे लगा यार मैं 1 अप्रैल को तो प्रेसिडेंट आईएमए का बन गया, इतने जल्दी जल्दी 12 अक्टूबर कैसे आ गई? आई वॉज कन्फ्यूज्ड. 16 अक्टूबर, सॉरी. एंड देन आई स्पोक विथ डॉक्टर व्यवहार एंड शी टोल्ड मी, सर ये हमारा एनुअल डे है. When I was a student in medical college and during third year, the first quarter of third year, when we started going to the clinics and started attending operation theaters, in sitting in the lobby, sitting in that gallery, जो सीनियर लोग होंगे उनको पता होगा ओटीबी और ओटीसी के बाहर एक गैलरी थी, वहाँ हम स्टूडेंट्स खड़े रहते हैं आउट ऑफ एंथुसियाज्म कि क्या चल रहा है ऑपरेशन थिएटर में. माय एक्सपीरियंस व्हाई आई रिस्पेक्ट एनेस्थेटिस्ट. When I did my MBBS, because of my family financial situation, I could not go for post-graduation, even I could get it. I joined medical officer of a primary health center in a very difficult area. And within my 6 months, I was sent for tubectomy training, I was sent for MTP training. And then an order came from the government that a surgeon needs to undergo any tubectomy surgeon needs to undergo 3 months anesthesia training. And I think it was in late 77 or early 78, I was deputed to Medical College Nagpur for 3 months anesthesia training. For 2-3 days, I was totally lost in that atmosphere of medical college, in the operation theater. But then I was determined that since I have come for this training, I must learn something, and feel satisfied at the end of 3 months that yes, I have learned something. And believe me, during that 3 months, with whatever sincerity, almost 24/7, I used to work in the anesthesia department, in the operation theater, doing all mundane jobs also, the way the junior house officers have to do. And then I came to know that giving spinal anesthesia is comparatively simple that way, because it is a mechanical, you develop this on practice. But managing medical emergencies, managing the shock, what IV fluid should be given to what patient, when that IV fluid should be given, which type of IV fluid should be given to the patient, managing vasovagal attacks, managing emergencies, use of bags and mags. So these were so many technical and clinical skills which I learned during the 3 months training program. I still remember after 40 years, and that really changed my life, because when I went back to primary health center, and before that also from internship I was doing abdominal tubectomies, but I was not a certified surgeon, and then officially started doing tubectomy, and during that period of 5 years in primary health center, I did more than 10,000 tubectomies and 10,000 vasectomies, which is still a record. And it's not only tubectomies and vasectomies, I was so confident of managing all these emergencies, giving even venesection, a simple trick. Even majority of the medical officers during those days who joined primary health center, they did not know how to do venesection. So I learned all those skills, and therefore I owe a lot to the Department of Anesthesia, that they developed clinical confidence in me. And because I was able to manage all those medical emergencies, vasovagal attack, you know, in vasectomy those days, almost 10% patient used to fall down after the vasectomy is over because of the vasovagal attack. Then during those days, we were giving benzathine penicillin 24 lakhs units after the surgery for tubectomy patient and vasectomy patients, and many of them had anaphylactic shock. But You all senior people taught me how to manage anesthesia, how to manage this anaphylactic shock. And this really helped me because I was trained in tubectomy. Alongside tubectomy at my primary health center during those days, I used to do hydrocele, hernia, appendixectomy. Then deliveries, my primary health center's headquarter population was only 2,000. But every year I had 300 deliveries during those days. During 70 to 78, almost 88% of the deliveries in that 1 lakh population, 80% deliveries were institutional deliveries, doing low forceps and everything. So I am really grateful to you. You really made me a clinician working at the primary health center, and although I am from a public health background, I am fully convinced that unless and until you are a clinician working at a primary health center, you cannot become a good doctor or a doctor to promote or prevent diseases, because you cannot get confidence from the patients. You can get confidence from the patient, confidence from the society, confidence from the community gatekeepers if you are a good clinician. That is my personal opinion, that is my personal experience. And then although after that, after 5 years, and during that 5 years, for continuously five years, I got extraordinary confidential report. Those who are in the government service might know what is the importance of annual confidential report, A++ CR. And I got 2 advance increment during 84, 85, then deputed for post-graduation. And then at the age of 31 years, I became district health officer. At the age of 38, I became deputy director, and the journey started. But I never forgotten my clinical skills. Even as an administrator, district health officer, even as deputy director, when I used to go in the field for any reason, if I find that there is some mother in the delivery room waiting to be delivered, I used to go and assist. If there are cases of severe dehydration, because during those days there were major outbreaks of cholera, I used to do venesection. For that, even if you allow me to say 5 minutes, give 5 minutes. Once I was abducted by the Naxalites. I was in Hemalkasa Primary Health Center for management of an outbreak of cholera. I sent all the medical officers and team for management, and I was sitting in the OPD. Suddenly at 10 o'clock in the morning, 3 people came, and because I was traveling quite frequently Gadchiroli, I knew that who are they, and they said, "Doctor है?" मैंने बोला डॉक्टर तो बाहर गए, तो आप कौन है? मैंने बोला मैं भी डॉक्टर हूँ. आई वॉज दी रीजनल डिप्टी डायरेक्टर दैट टाइम. तो बोले डॉक्टर है ना, चलो हमारे साथ. बोले क्यों? तो बोले डिलीवरी करना है. तो मैंने उनको बोला ठीक है, मैं एक सिस्टर को साथ में ले लेता हूँ. क्यों, आपको आती नहीं कि डिलीवरी करनी? एंड दे वर स्पीकिंग इन फ्लुएंट इंग्लिश. I took the all delivery kit. I was blindfolded for 2 hours. और 10 बजे से निकलने के बाद में 2 घंटे के बाद उन्होंने मेरी आंखों की पट्टी खोली. Reached to that site at 4 o'clock, and the God is so great. It was a 20 years old primey. I conducted the delivery, and दूसरे दिन उन्होंने मुझे वहाँ से उनको छोड़ दिया. So why this has happened? This is because of the skills, clinical skills you taught me. Even whenever I travel to many of the countries across the world, you might not have heard the names of those countries also, like Togo, Burkina Faso, Papua New Guinea. As a public health worker doing a lot of operation research projects and everything, but whenever I used to travel to the field and I find that some boy is having severe dehydration, some woman needs help for delivery, I used to go and do that. And therefore, at the end, I will say that you are great. You have taught me. I'll never forget this in my life, the skills you inculcated in me. And I would say that we really need to do something, come out with a certain, I don't know, projects or some advocacy tools, so that the anesthetists also get due recognition for the job they are doing to save lives of the patient. Because if the life of the patient is saved, the credit only goes to the surgeon. And if unfortunately something happens, the discredit goes to the anesthetist. Am I right? So we all need to work together. I wish you all the success. And since I have taken the charge of president of IMA, there are my two priorities. If you are aware, we have a FOMA, Federation of Medical Association. IMA being a parent body, all the specialist organization are working under the umbrella of IMA as FOMA. This federation, the purpose is to jointly address issues and concerns of medical profession and take it to the logical levels of decision makers, politicians, and IMA is taking a lead. FOMA is part of it. So I want to strengthen this FOMA at least at Nagpur, and the first meeting we have started and we got a good response. I request you, let us work together. My another mission would be that IMA will not be organizing independent CMEs, and at the end of the year get a credit that during my region I organized 115 CMEs, 120 CMEs. Would like to join, because ultimately our audience is sometimes common. I would like to join with you, organize the joint program with all the specialty organizations, and work together in tandem, no, avoiding duplication of efforts. And I request you all, madam, and she has already taken an initiative, and the first program we have already started. So we'll continue in the, on those areas of working together in tandem and in coordination. And the last before I finish, it's not a pleasant sentence, but bear with me. IMA is in a very bad financial stage. The financial stage of IMA is in the doldrums. You know, even if some of the issues we have to go to the court, we have to pay 5 lakhs, 10 lakhs to the lawyer. And since last 3-4 years, absolutely no income for IMA. You know, last month's bill of electricity bill was 1,16,000. Before 2 years, we approved in the general body, and when IMA's constitution was amended and approved by the Office of Charity Commissioner, we made it compulsory that each life member of IMA should pay 1,000 rupees every year as annual maintenance fee. And 1,000 rupees is peanuts for you. And this is not only in IMA Nagpur, almost all branches in the state, they are collecting this annual maintenance fees from all IMA members. Some of the branches like Chandrapur collects 4,000 rupees per year, Amravati collects 3,000. So my humble request to you all with folded hands, before you leave today, and I am sure everybody has 1,000 rupees in your pockets. Don't say that मेरे पास आज पैसे नहीं लाए कल दे दूंगा. Please deposit 1,000 rupees with Madam Vyavare. You note down the names, and tomorrow we'll issue receipts to all the members. So please help IMA to improve its financial position. Thank you very much. I wish you all the success, and I promise you that IMA at local level and even at state level, because I am vice president of IMA, and also at national level because for last more than 10 years I am a member of CWC. I'll promise you that I'll take up all issues and concerns of medical profession to the best of my ability to solve issues of medical profession. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. As I have already informed about the airway update to be held on 26 June, the registrations are open. We are doing it on the counter just outside the hall. Please register for the same.
Now I invite our Honorary Secretary Sarita Joglekar for her formal vote of thanks.
On the annual day program of ISA NCB, I took the opportunity to convey my sincere thanks to Chief Guest of today's program, respected Dr. Prakash Dev Sir, President IMA Nagpur and Vice President MSCISA, for taking out a precious time to join us as a Chief Guest today. My sincere thanks to our Vice President National, Dr. Anjali Bure Madam, and a guest of honor of today's program. She is also advisory board member of MSCISA, to taking out a time to join for today's program. Thanks on the day of the annual day program of ISA NCB, Dr. Manisha Katikar Madam, a special guest of today's program, from coming all the way from Solapur to attend to deliver a E.G. Tambe oration, which will be held immediately after this program is over. Vote of thanksgiving is over. Sincere thanks to chairpersons of today's oration, Dr. Charita Gadkari Madam and Dr. Shubhra Deshmukh Madam, to giving their consent to chair the session. My thanks to GC member MSCISA, Dr. Saurabh Burde and Dr. Sheetal Jalal for joining the today's program. Senior ISA members have always taken efforts to inculcate different habits for the upcoming generation, and they have taken the initiative to start a different type of awards in ISA NCB, and the list is going to increase day by day. So my sincere thanks to all the members, the senior members of ISA who have started the award, and we are celebrating these awards and giving the award on this annual day. Dr. Vilas Tambe sir, Dr. Rashmi Deshpande Sathi Madam, Dr. Sridhav sir, Dr. S.K. Deshpande sir, Dr. Sahai sir, Dr. Anjali Bure Madam, Dr. Cham sir, Dr. Ratna Vaghaya Madam, Dr. Anil Jain sir, Dr. Charita Gadkari Madam, and Dr. Mrs. Krishna Kaya Madam for starting these awards and taking a great initiative to motivate the younger generation to come forward and participate in different competitions. So thanks, sincere thanks from bottom of my heart. All the thanks to different award winners today, all the participants in the different programs over the year we have carried out. Then the senior ISA members who have joined today, Dr. Ranjana Madam, Dr. Kapre Madam, Dr. Savargaonkar Madam, Dr. Sushma Pandey Madam for attending today's program. Special thanks to Chalta Bolta Inspiration, Lifetime Achievement Awardee, Dr. Pratima Deshmukh Madam for accepting this and giving highly motivating us every time. चालतं बोलतं म्हणजे खरंच त्यांना पाहून एक inspiration आहे की बिलकुल easy going, very easy going, any junior can approach her. So lot of congratulations to you, lot of wishes to you for year ahead, and thanks for accepting today's award. Special thanks to Manoj from Singi Screen, then Audiovisuals, Yes Solutions, then Millennium Caterers, and IMA for providing us a Haddas Hall for today. Master of Ceremony of today's program, Dr. Himangi Abhyankar and Dr. Sheetal Samir. I will request our President, Dr. Kiran, to felicitate them for conducting today's program.
To felicitate our guest of honor, Dr. Bhure Madam. I request Dr. Kiran Revare Madam to kindly felicitate Dr. Bhure Madam with a shawl and a Shrifal. May I request President Madam to felicitate our chief guest for today's evening, Dr. Prakash Dev sir, and present a memento. Thank you, sir, for attending today's event.
So thank you everyone.
We would like to felicitate Dr. Manisha Katikar Madam with a shawl and Shrifal. We at ISA Nagpur City branch are extremely thankful to all our guests, guest of honor and chief guest for their esteemed presence for today's event. Thank you very much once again.
And we conclude our inaugural session with the national anthem. I request you all to please stand up for it.
जनगण मन
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
भारत माता की.
So before our guests leave the stage, may I request all the prize winners and all the awardees to come forward on the stage for a quick group photographs.
Please don't leave. We have the oration now. So kindly occupy your seats. Please be seated. We'll have the photograph in the end, I think. We'll have the oration first.
Okay, we'll start with the oration, ma'am.
Please wait, students. You have to wait for the photograph. Okay, so we'll have the oration first. Kindly have your seats. Please be seated.
I request all the members to please occupy their seats. We are starting with the E.G. Tambe Memorial Oration.
By Dr. Vilas Tambe in the memory of his beloved father since 2009. He was a medical practitioner for more than 50 years after his service to the British Army in Second World War. Dr. V. Tambe was ex-secretary ISA NCB and founder member of Critical Care of Medicine, and he was awarded with a Scroll of Honor. He has sponsored Ravi Shabde Tambe Fellowship and E.G. Tambe Oration. On each annual day, a best national speaker is called upon for this oration. Today, we have Dr. Manisha Katikar, President MSISA, for the same. Her topic for oration is Neuroanesthesia, My Odyssey.
I request all the ISA members to please occupy the seats in the hall. We are starting with the oration.
The chairpersons for this oration are Dr. Charuta Gadkari Madam and Dr. Shubhda Deshmukh Madam. I invite them to chair the oration. Dr. Charuta Gadkari is past President ISA NCB, at present Professor of Department of Emergency Medicine, JNMC Varda. She was a GC member of ISA Maharashtra for 3 terms, editor Miza News, and organizing chairperson for biennial CME, and she has many publications to her biodata. Dr. Shubhda Deshmukh is Professor and HOD EMS NKP SIMS. She is also ex-GC member Maharashtra State ISA. And I hand over the session to both the chairpersons. Madam.
May I request Dr. Manisha Katikar Madam to please come up on stage for the Dr. E.G. Tambe Memorial Annual Oration.
Good evening, everyone. Actually, her journey in neuroanesthesia is what she's going to speak about. And Odyssey means that. Odyssey is the journey which King Odysseus undertook after the Trojan War. And that journey was, some of the events are actually, which could have happened, but some of them are imaginary. But put together, such a journey is known as Odyssey. And I'm sure Manisha will truly reflect on her journey and give us a glimpse of what a fresh anesthesiology postgraduate encounters when she sets up a super specialty service and manages the department for exclusively for neurosurgery. So Dr. Manisha Katikar is here with us, and I invite her to deliver her oration.
Thank you so much, respected chairpersons. तुम्हाला सर्वांना नमस्कार. डॉक्टर ईडी तांबे सर यांच्या विनम्र स्मृतीस अभिवादन करून डॉक्टर विलास तांबे सर ज्यांनी हे ओरेशन वर्ष चालू ठेवलेलं आहे आणि वर्षानुवर्ष वेगवेगळे फॅकल्टीज नागपूरला भेट देत आहेत, त्याबद्दल त्यांचे मनापासून धन्यवाद. विद्या ददाति विनयम विदयात यात्री पात्रतां पात्रत्वात् धन प्राप्नोति धनात् धर्मः ततः सुखम. The education which made me humble, the education which made me capable, the education which made me economically viable, education which taught me dharma and karma, and education which made me happy. My primary institute where I joined anesthesia, pranam to that institute, the JJ group of hospitals where I did DA and I learned basics of anesthesia. Pranam to my another institute, Tata Memorial Hospital, where I learned giving anesthesia to the specialized cases. I had an exposure of intensive care and I had exposure of managing pain patients. This was an institute where I developed a passion for learning, and I was taught, if you do, you will never cease to grow. Pranam to my teachers from Tata Memorial Hospital. Pranam to Tekadisa Ganpati. This was the place where I used to visit every Chaturthi since the day I remember in my Nagpur stay before my marriage. Matru Devo Bhava, Pitru Devo Bhava. My parents, who had taught me values of life and who I dedicate everything, whatever I have achieved in this course of my life to them, because whatever I have achieved is just because of their blessings. I am blessed to have so many great things in my life. Family, friends and God. To me, family means putting your arms around each other and being there for all the family members. I have a very small family, but I am blessed to have such a small family and love and affection from all the members of my family. My initial schoolings at Tiyak Vidyalaya Dhantoli, then Hadas High School, the building very next to IMA Hall, then the Somalwar Junior College, and then the Government Medical College Nagpur, where I did my undergraduate degree, where I achieved my undergraduate education. Pranam to all those educational institutes. And a colony. My father, Dr. Prabhakar Dopaukar, Ajni Medical Colony, quarter number B-2. In spite of the demolishing work of the Metro City branch, Metro train, this my house still exists there. And this is the house which inspired me to join medical profession, because of so many neighbors they were there surrounding in that colony, and from there I got an inspiration to join medical profession. I really do not know whether I am capable of giving this oration today, but I thank ISA Nagpur for allowing me to speak on Dr. E.G. Tambe Memorial Oration as an orator. Thank you so much, ISA Nagpur and all my dear friends. Well, let's begin with the topic. Challenges as a neuroanesthesiologist which I have faced during my practice of neuroanesthesia in past 26 years. The beginning of neuroanesthesia as a private practicing anesthesiologist in Solapur was not at all easy for me. When I joined neuroanesthesia in Solapur in 1996, that time neurosurgery was an infancy, and I literally had to struggle because there was the era of scalp veins and red rubber tubes at that time in Sholapur, and monitoring was very difficult. There was one ECG monitor that used to get rotated in different OTs, and then I had to struggle a lot. And I must tell you with pride that I took a lot of efforts in establishing the neurosurgical OTs as well as the neurointensive care in 2 or 3 big hospitals in Solapur, and I'm really thankful to God for his abundant blessings and for helping me to sort out these issues. Today, I work in this Balwant Institute of Neurosurgery and Intensive Trauma Care. It is our own institute with CT scan and MRI in its own premises. In next 30 to 40 minutes, I'm going to discuss with you various emergency neurosurgical procedures as well as elective surgical procedures, which were definitely challenges. They were challenges for me during the practice of anesthesia. And when I was discussing the topic with Dr. Kiran Vevare, I realized that in past 6 months, in this new year only, I have done so many challenging cases. And I thought, rather than discussing some case done at 1996 or 2000, why not include all these cases which I have done very recently in the year 2022. So let us discuss these cases. This was a case of traumatic brain injury. A 60-year-old guy who was found unconscious in his house as he was staying alone because there was no family member, and his distant relatives found him unconscious almost after 24 hours. He was chronic alcoholic, was suffering from acute liver disease. He was post-COVID, hypertensive, and he was brought to the emergency department in gasping respiration. And as you can see here, he had the CT scan revealed there was an acute extradural subdural hematoma along with contusion. On investigations, he had raised serum bilirubin and ammonia, and he was found to be anemic. He needed emergency intubation and ventilation. In spite of deranged liver functions, his coagulation profile was normal. He underwent emergency craniotomy. He was ventilated electively, and he was extubated after 24 hours. He had a stormy post-operative course. Most probably he was irritable because of the alcohol withdrawal, as he was consuming a lot of alcohol for last 2 years during the COVID pandemic. He was settled with haloperidol, and he recovered gradually, and he was discharged from the hospital 2 days back. Let me discuss with you patients with deranged coagulation profile coming for emergency craniotomies. This was a 70-year-old male patient who was brought to emergency department with very poor Glasgow Coma Scale score. He had undergone mitral valve replacement 5 years back and was not taking antiplatelets or anticoagulants, which was advised to him very regularly. He complained of giddiness for past 2 days, and he was consulted to a cardiologist, and the cardiologist suspected a decreased flow across the mitral valve on the 2D echo. So he decided to thrombolize the patient. After thrombolysis, patient was found drowsy, and this patient was referred to us for at our tertiary care for further management. When a CT scan was done, it showed a massive bleed on the left side, which was causing midline shift and mass effect. He needed emergency intubation and ventilation. As he was thrombolized 6 hours back, he had a deranged coagulation profile. We gave him vitamin K and fresh frozen plasmas. 2D echo was done. He received good neurocritical care. He was optimized as far as the coagulation profile was concerned, and since it was a neurosurgical emergency, we operated him as soon as the PT-INR came down to less than 1.5. And he was discharged, though had a stormy post-operative course, was discharged from the hospital after 3 months. Another patient, same history. A 62-year-old male patient who was brought to emergency department with acute onset paraplegia. A known asthmatic and hypertensive patient. And when we did MRI, it revealed D5 to D12 spinal epidural hematoma. He had suffered from anterior wall acute myocardial infarct, was thrombolized for the same. He had deranged coagulation profile. 2D echo revealed anterior wall hypokinesia with ejection fraction of 40%. He received vitamin K, fresh frozen plasma, that were the things available late in the night as the patient was brought at around 10 o'clock in the night. He underwent emergency spinal cord decompression surgery. The next day morning, we did cardiology consult because he had sustained an acute MI a few hours back, optimized for the surgery, used advanced cardiac monitoring, managed the coagulation profile with hemostatic balance, and went ahead with emergency surgery when the INR value came below less than 1.5. Yes, we did explain the risk of rebleeding to the relatives, and we continued the reversal of anticoagulants intraoperatively as the surgery was limb saving for that patient. And as you can see, this patient, after about 3 months, he is the patient who had sustained acute paraplegia. He is on his legs at the end of 3 months, and he is able to walk with support with the help of walkers. So whenever you get a patient who is a case of atrial fibrillation and who is receiving chronic atrial fibrillation, who is receiving anticoagulants, a patient of ischemic stroke who is receiving antiplatelet drugs, a patient of valvular heart diseases, the rheumatic heart diseases, valvular heart diseases, who might need pipeline embolization and who is already on double antiplatelet drugs, in these patients, the risk to develop intracranial parenchymal bleed is significant. It is almost 23%, and with the use of near anticoagulant agents now, especially after the post-COVID era, the drugs like dabigatran or rivaroxaban, the reversal therapy may not be always possible, and we may need to do these emergency surgical procedures with deranged coagulation profile, as these are the life-saving or the limb-saving surgeries. This was a 36-year-old doctor, a radiologist, who was a case of venous infarct, who was a case of cortical venous thrombosis. He was on antiplatelet agents, but he was brought to our department. Patient was very drowsy, minimally localizing to pain, had a shallow respiration, and a CT scan revealed a big venous infarct in the case of known CVT, that is cortical venous thrombosis. He underwent emergency craniotomy and did extremely well and is now practicing again back to his professional career. Again a same patient, a 40-year-old male, known case of CST, that is cortical sinus thrombosis. He was receiving warfarin and he was brought with a massive cerebellar bleed. He had a bad presentation. His PT-INR was prolonged, value of 7.1, and a prolonged APTT. We did operate him, but because of his bad neurological status, he succumbed to the illness. So let us discuss now, what does this warfarin do? In simple word, warfarin inhibits this enzyme, that is vitamin K oxidase reductase, which is required for conversion of reduced vitamin K to oxidized vitamin K. And this active form of vitamin K is needed for functional clotting factors. And since warfarin inhibits this oxidized vitamin K, it depletes the functional vitamin K reserves and thus reduces the synthesis of active clotting factors. So whenever you get these patients, a patient who had received warfarin and who come for emergency surgical intervention, the first important thing is you ask for the history of last dose of warfarin that has been taken by the patient. You do his coagulation profile, and the most important tests that are available today are PT, APTT, the platelet count, and if available, thromboelastography or rotational thromboelastometry. Stop warfarin, give, if possible, if available, prothrombin complex concentrates in the dose of 25 to 50 units per kg. 90% of the patients achieve normal INR within 15 minutes. Second dose may be repeated, depends upon the availability, but you have to assume a risk of thrombosis, as you need to keep a balance between thromboembolization as well as active bleed. You can give fresh frozen plasma that is available at the moment everywhere. It contains vitamin K dependent factors 2, 7, 9 and 10. There is a risk of high volume load in patients who have compromised cardiac functions, and it may contain low concentration of vitamin K dependent factor 9. Vitamin K 5 milligram IV can be given. It takes 24 hours for INR correction with vitamin K. Let's see a few more cases. This was a 70-year-old male who was suffering from multiple comorbidities, hypertension, diabetes, chronic kidney disease, myocardial infarct, IHD, and was referred to our center with deranged neurological status. He was on antiplatelet agents because he had suffered from ischemic infarct on the right side of brain like this, and because of that he developed an hemorrhagic infarct and a deranged neurological status, and his CT scan revealed a venous infarct with hemorrhagic transformation in the right middle cerebral artery territory. He underwent emergency surgery. He had stormy perioperative course. We ventilated electively for a long period, and he received good neurointensive care, but he showed slow and steady recovery, and he is still recovering in our intensive care unit. Let us discuss few cases like intracranial brain tumors, which get the patient in a very drowsy neurological state to your emergency department, because this is the first time the CT scan might reveal a big brain tumor which is making him drowsy, or which may be the reason for the first time convulsions which he had suffered from. This was a 32-year, the first CT scan. This was a 32-year-old female who was brought intubated to us from the periphery. She had a poor Glasgow Coma scale, minimally responding to pain. Pupils were unequal but reacting to light. She underwent emergency surgical intervention as the CT scan was showing a huge SOL with midline shift and mass effect. For this patient, in fact, the neurological status was so bad that in fact we did not go ahead with the contrast CT scan also. We ventilated her as soon as we received her. We gave anti-edema measures. She underwent emergency craniotomy, and she was extubated within first 24 hours as the surgical decompressive craniotomy saved the patient, and the patient went home happily. Another was the second patient was a 46-year-old female, obese female, who was again brought in drowsy state to the emergency department. She has convulsed for the first time, and when to find out the cause for convulsions, when the CT scan was done, it showed a big SOL with midline shift and mass effect, and she needed urgent emergency neurosurgical intervention after optimization of the patient, and this patient also did extremely well. Let's see a few cases of cervical spine fractures, especially the fractures in upper cervical spine, like a C2-CT fracture or atlantoaxial instability. These patients may come to your emergency department with respiratory compromise because of upper cervical spine fractures. And whatever airway maneuvers you do, a chin lift, a jaw thrust, mouth opening, achieving the sniffing position for direct laryngoscopy or tracheal intubation, all these procedures need extension at the occipito-atlantoaxial joint, and all these interventions can cause maximum decrease in the space available for the spinal cord. And because of this, there is a potential to cause dynamic cord compression. So whenever such patients come to your emergency department with respiratory compromise because of high cervical cord injury, whatever attempts you do to manipulate the airway, they are again going to increase the cervical cord compression and can worsen the respiratory compromise. Manual inline stabilization has to be practiced with the help of two assistants. The head has to be fixed and by an assistant, and by holding the mastoid processes, and other assistants must help in intubation when these patients they come to an emergency. Wending et al. Studied cervical spine motion in cadavers with instability at C1, C2 levels when manual inline traction was applied with various airway rescue instruments. And what was the study of this Wending et al.? Line wet technique created the least flexion, extension and rotational movement at C1, C2. Intubating LMA and Macintosh produced the most movements. Intubating LMA had a high failure rate, which has been corroborated in other studies also. Miller blade appears to result in less cervical motion than McCoy or the Macintosh blade. Fiber optic laryngoscope, it is associated with least biomechanical influence on the cervical spine, and it is preferred in patients with atlantoaxial instability or patients who have symptomatic canal stenosis. Use of VLS, video laryngoscope, has grown over the past decade. This is why, especially in patients with cervical cord injury, this is because it has a smaller learning curve and do not require neck extension for glottic visualization. But better glottic view does not always imply an easier intubation, and tracheal intubation times have been found to be longer than direct laryngoscopy even in practiced hands. So in patients with cervical spine surgeries, studies do not demonstrate any superiority of one technique over the other in terms of neurological outcome. One needs to develop individual skills and experience. When you are intubating such patients, oxygen should be provided at every opportunity and laryngeal mask airway should be available with you as an airway rescue. One must know two conditions that have been associated with cervical cord injury, that is neurogenic shock and autonomic hyperreflexia. 60 to 70% of the patients with complete cervical cord injury develop this neurogenic shock, which is associated with bradycardia in 70% of the patient and hypotension in 68% of the patient. It is recommended to keep adequate mean arterial pressure for first 7 days following spinal cord injury. So one need to judiciously use full fluids as well as inotropes to keep the mean arterial pressure at the adequate level. 85% of the patients who sustain cervical cord injury may develop this autonomic hyperreflexia when the phase of spinal shock starts fading. It begins to appear 2 to 3 weeks after injury. Surgical stimulus at any other painful stimuli which are transmitted to isolated spinal cord elicit a massive sympathetic response, and remember that this response is no longer under the control of inhibitory impulses from brainstem and hypothalamus. Here I would like to give an example, a quadriplegic patient who do not have any sensations, who have sensations below, say suppose T4 or T6, comes for a diabetic foot on lower limb, who is already quadriplegic, known case of cervical cord injury for years together, living a bedridden life but has an abscess or a diabetic foot on lower limb. As an anesthesiologist, you might think that he may not need any anesthesia as he do not have any sensory system, active sensory system below T4 or maybe below T6. So the surgeon can definitely go away by doing it under local anesthesia, or might be under any other, may not need even local anesthesia also, and the surgeon must have called me just to remain standby as the patient is high risk. But my dear friends, I would like to tell here that there is something called as autonomic nervous system, and we need to respect this autonomic nervous system. Yes, these patients do need anesthesia. Give them anesthesia in the form of some sedation. Continue. If there is a autonomic hyperreflexia, you may get severe hypertension which may be difficult to control intraoperatively. Even a full bladder in these patients, even a black of catheter in these patients who are already catheterized for days together may elicit autonomic hyperreflexia. So if you plan to give anesthesia to these procedures, don't think that they may not need any anesthesia just because they do not have sensation. Give them some sedation, or if you plan anything, a peripheral nerve block, or deepen your levels of anesthesia, and you may need to give even antihypertensive drugs intravenously to control these autonomic hyperreflexia. So this is the clinical scenario behind this autonomic hyperreflexia, and we need to know, all of us, we need to know those who even do not practice neuroanesthesia. Something like this, a neonate or a baby coming with huge hydrocephalus, there is huge increase in the size of the ventricles, and these babies sometimes may have associated meningomyelocele, but of course the incidence is now decreasing day by day. Even one need to know important anesthetic considerations in this baby. These babies, because of large head, may have complicated airway management. There might be risk of aspiration, airway irritability. We must respect the effect of our anesthetic drug agents on cerebral blood flow and intracranial pressure. Positioning might be difficult for intubation. It is difficult to estimate the blood loss and fluid loss in this baby. There is a potential for brainstem herniation because of huge enlarged ventricles. The other problems of neonates are always there, and latex precautions are needed in patients who suffer from meningomyelocele because latex allergy is known in these babies. We must find out associated congenital anomalies like Vater anomalies or congenital cardiac diseases, and we must investigate this neonate for such kind of anomalies. Pediatric airway is always considered difficult and adult airway, and in a patient who has hydrocephalus, the large occiput in the hydrocephalus places the neck in extreme flexion, and a large forehead obscure the line of sight in the laryngoscopy. So keep a pad or a bolster below shoulder. Elevate the body with pillows or towels to facilitate the intubation. There are few clinical special concerns that one must give importance. These babies may develop hypotension on cannulating the ventricle. The ventricle, which was so large, was compressing the main matter, and when the neurosurgeon puts a catheter in the ventricle, then the sudden release of pressure may cause hypotension. This is because of the sudden release of brainstem pressure. There may be bradycardia at ventricular top tapping, and you must be cautious in such babies. There may occur bradycardia, especially in patients of Arnold-Chiari malformation due to brainstem compression at the time of laryngoscopy and intubation. Whenever the surgeon is cannulating the trocar subcutaneously for the VP shunt placement, you must have to watch for signs of pneumothorax, as these smaller neonates have fragile ribs and very fragile chest bones, so you need to be very careful when the surgeon is cannulating. So these are the emergency cases which I tackled in last 6 months, and few of them had stormy operative course, but many of them recovered well after the surgical intervention. Let's discuss with some elective neurosurgical procedures which were really challenging. This was a 55-year-old male who had undergone percutaneous transvenous mitral commissurotomy 4 years back. She was advised antiplatelet agents but was not taking them properly. She came with massive hydrocephalus and a big cerebellar SOL and was brought to our neurosurgical center in a drowsy state. Her 2D echo revealed moderate mitral restenosis with moderate aortic regurgitation and mild tricuspid regurgitation. We did explain the risk to the patient. We optimized the patient as it was an elective neurosurgical case. We explained the risk. She underwent neurosurgical intervention and she recovered very well post-operatively, and within 8 days of hospitalization she was discharged home. By the cardiologist, she was referred again to the cardiologist department for her moderate mitral restenosis. Sometimes you get babies like this. A 2-month-old baby who came to our emergency department in a very drowsy state as he had convulsions. His CT scan revealed a huge vascular tumor, a meningioma. He presented with status epilepticus to us. He needed respiratory support, and as his neurological condition was worsening, he underwent neurosurgical intervention. As this was a vascular tumor, there was a massive blood loss and the baby received massive blood transfusion, and the baby was ventilated electively. He had a perioperative stormy course because he had multiple convulsions. He needed elective ventilation for a longer period, but he recovered extremely well, and that was really satisfying because the HPR report, the histopatho report, came out to be meningioma, which is a benign tumor, and definitely this surgical intervention was really life-saving, as the baby, if would not have reached the hospital in time, would have coned and would have become brain dead. Again, a 7-year-old boy who was brought to us with giddiness and vertigo. A CT scan revealed a big brainstem SOL, and since he was anemic, he was optimized for surgery. He underwent neurosurgical intervention in the prone position for the excision of this brainstem SOL. He had lot of hemodynamic perturbations intraoperatively because of brainstem handling. He was ventilated electively. He recovered well. Unfortunately, the HPR revealed a malignant tumor, so he had to undergo radiotherapy postoperatively. This is one more interesting case which I would like to tell you. It was a Dandy Walker cyst with syringohydromyelia. This patient had congenital heart, PSD with aortic regurgitation, and had kyphoscoliosis. This was a 20-year-old boy, had a kyphoscoliosis and has a pigeon chest, as you can see. And if you notice the X-ray chest, it is like an emphysematous chest. This patient was brought with complaints of gradually progressing weakness in all the 4 limbs. This baby was coming to us for the 3rd time because we had put a right-sided shunt at the age of 1 year because of congenital hydrocephalus. Again, that shunt was blocked, and he came again to us with headache and vomiting. And at the age of 16 years, we had put a shunt on the left side. And now again, 3rd time, this baby, not a baby now, he's a 20-year-old boy who was going to the college, who had joined diploma in engineering, was brought to us with acute onset weakness in all the 4 limbs. So when we did an MRI, what did we found? It showed a large posterior fossa arachnoid cyst, I'm sorry for the spell check, herniating outside the foramen magnum, and this was compressing the cervical medullary junction, leading to hollow cord syrinx. Can you see this? So this boy was planned for marsupialization of the arachnoid cyst and foramen magnum decompression. As the neurological weakness in all the 4 limbs was worsening, and he was not able to walk. In fact, there was bladder involvement also. So this patient was operated within 24 hours after hospitalization, and the surgery was done in prone position. Post-operatively, the patient was conscious and well oriented. I extubated the patient on the table. He was moving all the 4 limbs. But what did we saw? Over the next 16 hours, he slowly became drowsy and lethargic. And when the CT scan was done, it showed massive pneumoventricle as well as air in the region of posterior fossa, that is the posterior fossa pneumocephalus, which was extending into, I didn't get the X-rays of this patient. It was extending into the cervical subarachnoid space till the level of 3rd cervical vertebra. So this was a massive pneumocephalus which was compressing the brain structures, and that is why the patient was drowsy. The treatment for pneumocephalus is oxygenation. That is the first line of treatment. So we decided to oxygenate the boy with rebreathing oxygen bag. He slowly improved, became conscious, alert and oriented. We did his skull serial X-rays, as doing CT scan head every day was not possible. He showed gradual and total resolution of pneumocephalus, but then again on 7th day we found him again drowsy and lethargic. The CT scan was better, the skull X-ray was better, showing no evidence of pneumocephalus. So why he was drowsy then? And when we did an ABG, it showed a high PO2 as well as a high PaCO2. And if you recall, this baby had an emphysematous chest, and because of that oxygenation, the therapeutic oxygenation for treating the pneumocephalus, we have converted a blue bloater to a pink puffer. The oxygenation made the boy to hypoventilate, so there was hypercarbia. We immediately stopped the oxygenation, and he improved, and he was discharged from the hospital. So the job of neuroanesthesiologists do not end when you transfer the patient from the OT table to the recovery bed. It continues for me in the perioperative period, as the Balwant Institute of Neurosurgery and Intensive Trauma Care is our own institute, and because of my post-graduation in Tata Memorial Hospital and extensive work in the intensive care unit is helping me to manage these patients even in intensive care unit. Again, this was a very interesting case which I did recently. The patient was discharged from the hospital a very few days back. This was a 25-year-old female who had a very peculiar tumor. I heard the surgeons discussing over what kind of this tumor. If you can see, this is something unpeculiar type of tumor which you get in neurosurgery, in the neurosurgical, for the neurosurgeons. So the CT scan showed an extensive SOL. When I assessed the patient, she was a 24-year-old girl, ASA grade 1 as far as other conditions are set. But when I examined her neck, I found a small thyroid swelling. Considering something rare type of brain SOL, I thought I must investigate this thyroid swelling, which I thought of like a thyroid colloid goiter in the preoperative assessment. So I sent T3, T4 TSH of that patient, and to my surprise, they came very low. So I consulted an endocrinologist because this tumor was making the girl drowsy. She had persistent vomiting and headache, and the surgeons were discussing about the date of surgery and was asking me when we can operate this patient. So when I consulted endocrinologist, he advised me to do complete pituitary profile. And to my surprise, the serum cortisol levels which were sent, they came very low. So this was a girl who was in adrenocortical insufficiency, and without looking for the thyroid profile of the patient and without looking for the expert opinion of the endocrinologist, if I would have given anesthesia, considering her as ASA grade 1, this patient, because of adrenocortical insufficiency, might have landed in problems intraoperatively or might have succumbed also. So, as the report suggested hypopituitarism, we started her on maintenance dose of steroids, and after a week, she underwent surgical intervention. Surgery was absolutely uneventful, and the surgery was rewarding to the patient. Managing her perioperatively in the neurointensive care was equally rewarding to me. This patient was sent home with maintenance dose of steroids, and endocrinologist had given a special note that we will do her serum cortisol levels and T3, T4 TSH levels immediately after 1 month after the surgery. So she may come for the visit again, and where then we will do the serum cortisol and the T3, T4 TSH levels, and if they come normal, we'll stop her drugs, that is the cortisol as well as the eltroxin that has been, the steroids and the eltroxin that has been started for hypopituitarism. So it is why I wanted to include this case is that the simple small soft colloidal goiter in the neck which I assessed in the preoperative period definitely turned out to be a very interesting part of this case, and the hypopituitarism, if would not have dealt with at that time, would have created problems. Another case of pituitary microadenoma, another very important patient who we only diagnosed as a case of panhypopituitarism, because in a case of pituitary tumor who has a diagnosed pituitary tumor, usually we go ahead with all the investigations that are related to pituitary gland. As far as this baby patient was concerned, since the tumor was not at all in the area of pituitary tumor, so we never thought that she may have hypopituitarism. But that was what neurosurgeons had, or the neurophysicians had a word about that. Because of this tumor that might have compressed the hypophyseal stalk, and that is why this patient might be having pituitary hypopituitarism because of compression of the pituitary gland, and that is why once the tumor is removed, her hormonal levels will come back to normal. So this 60-year-old male patient who had complained of abnormal behavior in the house, and he also complained of decreased vision in the right eye. Actually, that complaint of decreased vision in the right eye was not well taken by the relatives, as he had a very irritable and abnormal behavior. In fact, that patient was taken to the psychiatrist for the initial assessment, And this psychiatrist referred this patient to us for only doing MRI. He was already started on psychiatric medications. In the MRI suite, we found this patient in a very drowsy situation. So this patient was brought to our intensive care unit, this patient in a very drowsy state, and for further investigations. The MRI which was done revealed a pituitary tumor. He was admitted during third wave of COVID. When admitted, he had high-grade fever. His HRCT was suggestive of bilateral aspiration pneumonitis. The physician suspected of COVID. MRI revealed, as I said, showed pituitary tumor. His RT-PCR came negative. Immunological markers suggested secondary infection. He worsened neurologically, needed ventilatory support as well as inotropic support. Because of worsening neurological status, because of the worsening other problems, other medical problems of the patient, and misdiagnosis of secondary infection in a patient who had suffered from COVID, the pituitary profile was sent little later as the patient was worsening. Because at that time we never thought that this patient will undergo pituitary surgery in such bad situation. He needed ventilatory support, he needed inotropic support. His CT scan was suggestive of, his pituitary profile was suggestive of hypopituitarism and adrenocortical insufficiency again. We started him on loading and maintenance dose of steroids. He improved dramatically after giving steroids. The patient who was requiring 3 inotropes, the patient who was requiring ventilation, within next 4 to 5 days, he dramatically improved and he was discharged, he was extubated, he was discharged from the hospital with maintenance dose of steroids. We did discharge him because of his worsening general condition. We wanted him to stabilize, and pituitary surgery was not an emergency surgical intervention. He came back after 1 month for pituitary tumor surgery and underwent endoscopic surgery by transnasal transsphenoidal approach. He received maintenance dose of steroids throughout the perioperative course and he did extremely well and he was discharged from the hospital. You might get intracranial tumors, paraphalangeal tumors like meningioma, these vascular tumors, where you need to keep the head in the Sugita frame like this. These are very big vascular tumors with bone involvement, and when the neurosurgeons drill the bone to remove the exposed dura, these patients can bleed voraciously because of that the tumor is attached to the bone. So it is important for us to see the CT scan and see the bone involvement in patients who have vascular tumor. So as anesthesiologists, we need to keep the intracranial pressure volume relationship. We need to avoid any increase in the cerebral blood volume that will increase the intracranial pressure. And what is in our domain? In our anesthesia domain, there are various anesthetics which have effects on cerebral blood flow and intracranial pressure. We need to maintain the hemodynamic stability so as the mean arterial pressure is maintained. And again, the carbon dioxide and oxygen, these levels are also in our hand. So as anesthesiologists, for doing these neuroanesthesia cases with big masses, aneurysmal surgeries, even emergency traumatic brain injuries, we need to manage these 4 things which are in our domains as anesthesiologists. So what are the challenges during induction of anesthesia? I'll finish in 10 minutes. I know we are very tired from 6 o'clock. We are sitting here and I'll be finishing in 10 minutes. So as anesthesiologists, we need to keep the patient hemodynamically stable as well as we need to manage the airway. So you may get patients with difficult airway, as so many times these are the emergency situations. And what are the factors that are specially related to difficult airway in a neurosurgical patient? These are the patient factors or the procedural factors. It may be difficult to assess an irritable patient preoperatively. It may be an emergency situation. Patient may be uncooperative. There may be associated maxillofacial injury. There may be difficulty in attaining optimal oxygenation because of various other comorbid situations or various other like thoracic injuries or abdominal brain traumas. There might be poor cough reflex because of brainstem compression, or there might be clinical signs of raised ICP or traumatic brain injury. Various procedural factors, especially in patients with awake craniotomy, asleep awake craniotomy, when it is difficult to have an airway access, then in that event also you may need expert airway management, or in patients you are managing when them in CT scan or MRI suit, it may be difficult as you may need additional help and equipments to secure the airways. So why hemodynamics, hypoxia and airway are so relevant in pneumonia anesthesia? The primary goal in neuroanesthesia, even for emergency as well as elective case, is to have a smooth induction and smooth maintenance with good hemodynamic stability. Why this is important? Brief episodes of hypoxia and hypercapnia can cause cerebral vasodilatation and are especially deleterious in neurosurgical cases. And especially patients who have unstable cervical spine, as we discussed earlier, may have difficult airway. During maintenance of anesthesia, patient might get convulsions which are difficult to diagnose as these patients are anesthetized. Patients may develop brain swelling, which is very important during maintenance of anesthesia. There might be hemodynamic instability, complications like venous air embolism. Patients might need massive blood transfusion, and there may be intraoperative neurological decline, might be because of convulsions or a neurosurgical stimulus, especially in patients who undergo awake craniotomy. And one must know how to manage a tight brain, which is a nightmare for the neurosurgeon as well as neuroanesthesiology when one want to do this case, any case, emergency case, traumatic brain injury or a elective neurosurgical case. First, rule out the simple causes of that may lead to tight brain. See if your venous drainage in the neck is obstructed. See if there is a compression, if there is a rise in intrathoracic or intra-abdominal pressure because of a king tube, bronchospasm or a prone position compressing the chest or abdomen. Deepen the levels of anesthesia because of rise in pulse and blood pressure and these pressure responses, and even a simple urinary retention can cause problems and can cause tight brain situations. So this is again in our domain of anesthesiologists. When the surgeon complains to you that the brain is not relaxed, the brain is very tight, you do something as he is not able to operate, quickly have a look at all these domains which are in your hand. There was a last study which was published which involved almost 692 patients who underwent supratentorial procedures, and they found 4 significant predictors of poor intraoperative brain relaxation. When the HPR, the histopatho report, is glioblastoma multiforme, when it was metastasis, when there was a significant midline shift on the preoperative imaging, and when there was evidence of elevated subdural pressure. Whenever the surgeon complains of tight brain intraoperatively, give a brief duration of hyperventilation, give osmotherapy, loop diuretics. Corticosteroids might help in this situation. Continue continue the blood pressure and the pulse management and the mean arterial pressure regulation. Deepen your level of anesthesia. Give additional doses of muscle relaxants. CSF drainage can be done if the surgeon has put an intraventricular drain, or you can ask the surgeon to drain the excessive CSF, which may help in releasing the brain pressure, and of course operative decompression for the hematoma or for the of the tumor will definitely help in controlling the BP. So as an anesthesiologist, what is there in the hand if the situation of tight brain comes? Avoid all volatile anesthetic agents. And why? If you can see here, all our inhalation anesthetic agents, they cause increase in the cerebral blood volume, cerebral metabolic rate and intracranial pressure. And what about the IV anesthetic agents which we use during our day-to-day practice? Drugs like barbiturates, etomidate, propofol, they definitely have a unique position in neurosurgical anesthesia because of their favorable effects on cerebral blood flow, cerebral metabolic rate and intracranial pressure. So, whenever you get a patient of situation of tight brain intraoperatively, stop inhalational agents that's going on intraoperatively. Give the patient bolus doses of propofol. Maintain anesthesia on intravenous anesthetic agents, and that will definitely, along with the treatment I mentioned, acute brief hyperventilation, osmotherapy, that will definitely make the brain a little bit relaxed. There is a concept called as clinical brain retractor concept, where you need to create mild hyperosmolarity by using isotonic normal saline, by giving mannitol or giving hypertonic saline. just before bone flap removal, giving intravenous anesthetic agents, mildly hyperventilating the patient, giving more oxygen, maintaining normotension and normovolemia, together with head-high position, adequate depth of anesthesia, CSF drain, that will also help, as I mentioned, either a ventricular catheter or requesting the surgeon to drain the basal cisterns. If lumbar drain is put, then draining CSF through that, and asking the surgeon to not to put any instrumental mechanical retractor inside the brain, which will compress the underlying brain structure and can cause brain ischemia. So this is very important to manage, to follow this chemical brain retractor concept intraoperatively. The next few slides will just mention about the hemodynamic instability and the important causes that are related to various hemodynamic instability. So what are the conditions that cause hypertension in a neurosurgical patients intraoperatively during maintenance of anesthesia? Along with the common reasons like laryngoscopy, pressure responses, incision, pin fixation, light levels of anesthesia, tunneling of skin during VP shunt procedure is a very irritating response, and patient, the baby or even an adult patient might have a high blood pressure or high tachycardia during this procedure. Hypercarbia, brainstem handling, these are the important situations for that cause hypertension in a neurosurgical patient. What are the conditions that lead to hypertension? A condition called as neurogenic stunned myocardium, especially in patients who had a very bad neurological status with midline shift and mass effect. During positioning, especially the sitting position, massive venous air embolism, brainstem handling, trigeminocardiac reflex, all these conditions can lead to hypotension, and one must know these conditions and how to manage them intraoperatively. Conditions that can lead to tachycardia. Along with other routine common reasons for tachycardia, the most important thing I would like to tell here is unexplained tachycardia. When you do not find any of these reasons for this tachycardia, why this patient is getting tachycardia intraoperatively, when the patient is not, even if you have given additional doses of analgesics, deepen the level of anesthesia, still replace the IV fluids, replace the blood loss, still the patient is having persistent tachycardia, think of convulsions that are occurring intraoperatively. Give them loading doses of anti-epileptic drugs, ventilate these patients electively in the post-operative period, because that tachycardia you were not able to explain why this patient had suffered from tachycardia, and that is why this has to be taken very seriously by an anesthesiologist who is doing this case. This tachycardia I am not able to explain, let us ventilate this patient, and this may be the important take-home message. The most important reason for bradycardia is brainstem handling, or if the surgeon is doing a neuroendoscopic procedures, and when they flush the floor of the ventricle with cold scalene, then in such cases bradycardia may occur, and you need to be very alert, vigilant during such maneuvers. Recovery from neuroanesthesia. Like a aviation industry, we need to have a well-planned procedure. We need to have an awake patient at the end who will respond to all verbal commands, and will allow the neurosurgeon to do the neurological examination and the planning for the procedure. That begins right from the moment you see this patient. So a patient who has a good neurological status preoperatively, who undergoes limited brain surgery, there is no extensive posterior fossa surgery which involved the cranial nerve, the patient who do not develop malignant postoperative edema, who has normal body homeostasis, and when there is no unexplained tachycardia intraoperatively, these patients you can attempt an early landing. And why this is important? You can assess the neurological status immediately, and if there is worsening of neurological status, either because of rebleed or because of rise in edema, intracranial pressure, you will be able to diagnose the complication immediately by immediate doing CT scan. So what are the challenges that do face during reversal of anesthesia? Along with delayed emergence, seizures, extubation of trachea after prolonged prone procedure may be complicated because of macroglacia. The another deadly complication that you may face, though it is, because I am saying it is not a very rare complication, is post-operative visual loss. Post-operative visual loss can occur because of compression of eyeball, which can cause ischemic neuropathy, retinal ischemia and cortical blindness, commonly seen in patients who undergone prone surgery with the head resting on the horseshoe. Prolonged surgery, large blood loss, massive transfusion, major complicated spinal surgeries may be the reason for this. You need to take the proper eye care. It is again in your anesthesia domain. Avoid pressure on the eyes, avoid extreme neck rotations. Mirror kept below the eye can help to visualize the eye. Maintain the hemodynamic status of the patient and request the surgeon to stage the complicated spine surgeries. And why I am mentioning this specifically, I had faced this complication once in my practice of neuroanesthesia for last 26 years. A patient who underwent a complicated multi-level spine surgeries, had comorbidities, had a loss of vision is one of the eye, and I take it as my anesthesia failure because taking eye care was in my domain and I was not able to save the eye. Though we did everything post-operatively, nothing was fruitful and the patient has lost eye. So, my dear friends who are practicing neuroanesthesia, eye care is in our domain and we need to take a great good care of the eyes, especially in all neurosurgical procedures, whatever may be the position of the patient. So whenever we anesthetize these patients who come for spine surgeries, it is very important for as anesthesiologists to know what is the exact site of spinal lesion, how many vertebrae are involved, what is the intended surgical procedure, what is the invasiveness of surgery, what is the position of cervical spine, what is the total duration for surgeries, and what can be the blood loss. So you need to discuss all these cases with the surgical team to know about all these factors before anesthetizing these patients. Then can a lumbar spine patient can get bradycardia? Yes. Hemodynamic perturbations have been noticed even in lumbar spine surgeries, even a single level discectomies which you might be doing under spinal anesthesia. There have been reports of severe bradycardia which is accompanied by hypotension, and this has been found due to dural manipulation. And the hypotension that occurs takes time to improve. This severe hypertension is followed by severe hypertension because of response to atropine. And the surgeon who was very happy with your surgical field might grumble now, "Arey, what is happening? The patient is oozing from everywhere." But if you recognize this bradycardia in time and if you request the surgeon to stop the stimulus, this reflex, this stimulus will get over and there will not be any post-operative neurological deficit. So this bradycardia is based on the concept of spinal reflex arc. It is associated with surgical manipulation of dura and nerve roots because of mechanical stretch of spinal dura. This can be the most potent provoking factors. But then again there is a question of research. Why only few patients manifest this spinal reflex arc? Because not every lumbar spine patient who undergo surgical intervention and who have dural manipulation or dural irritation or the surgical stimulus gets bradycardia. But my humble request to all the audience here, be careful, be vigilant during anesthetizing these patients, even if they come for a single lumbar disc surgery, and atropine must be loaded ready on your anesthesia cart and monitor your patient as far as pulse and blood pressure is concerned. As I mentioned, there is a number of literature that has been mentioned on this issue of bradycardia that is occurring in lumbar spine surgeries. What about, I would like to tell you another last but very interesting case. It was a 20-year-old college-going girl. She was admitted with quadriparesis, and when we investigated her, we found a lesion in this region, in the region of cervical C4, C5 area. And this lesion was suggestive of tuberculosis. She came to us with weakness in all the four limbs, and to my surprise, on preoperative examination, I found her blood pressure very high, in the range of 200 by 140 millimeters of mercury. We investigated her for all reasons for high blood pressure because she was a 20-year-old girl. We investigated for pheochromocytoma and everything. All the reports came normal. We started her on antihypertensive drugs, controlled her blood pressure till 140 by 90, and she underwent anterior cervical corpectomy with fusion. So what can be this reason of this cervicogenic hypertension? When there is a significant cervical cord compression because of a lesion which is compressing the spinal cord, there occurs irritation of sympathetic nervous system, especially in the blood vessels of vertebral arteries, and there might occur severe vasoconstriction of vertebral artery and other blood vessels which might lead to hypertension. So again, an area of research. This is because this patient, in fact I would say these patients who come with high blood pressure, who have significant cervical cord compression, they become normotensive following decompressive cervical spine surgery, and they no longer need antihypertensive medications. In fact, the most interesting feature is that on table we can document normotension after surgical decompression. And this is the recent study which our hospital, our unit have published in the Indian Journal of Anesthesia. It is a retrospective observational study where we studied the effects of decompressive cervical spine injury on hypertension in patients with cervical spondylotic myelopathy. And amongst the 78 patients who were operated in previous 1 year, 38 patients had normotension following surgical intervention, and that study is published in Indian Journal of Anesthesia. The few challenging cases: stereotactic aspiration of hypertensive intracerebral bleeds, stereotactic biopsies of brain SOLs. In my setup, most of these cases are done in the intensive care unit. The patients, the head is fixed in a stereotactic halo like this. We need to take good care of airway. Few patients might need sedation, few patients might need endotracheal tube. Usually I do these cases under scalp block. I usually avoid sedation because there is very difficult to access the airway in this stereotactic halo, and these patients, once these halos are put, these patients are then taken to the CT scan department, which is almost on the basement of my hospital, and our intensive care unit is in the second floor. So it becomes difficult to manage the airway. So usually I do these cases under scalp block. In the armamentarium of the neuroanesthesiologists, along with the spine monitoring system, the neurological monitoring system, what has added or helped more to an anesthesiologist in day-to-day anesthesia practice is depth of anesthesia monitoring. Availability of this depth of anesthesia monitor in my setup for last 6 years has changed the total scenario of my clinical practice, and now I am able to utilize, I am able to decrease the doses of inhalational agents or intravenous agents, looking at the values of QCon and QNOX, and this is really helping every neuroanesthesiologist who is doing cases with depth of anesthesia monitoring. Professor Wilson, a chair of neurosurgery at University of California, has mentioned that among surgeons, no group has greater respect for or greater dependence on its counterparts in anesthesia than the neurosurgeons. And as Michael Todd said in his foreword in the 4th edition of Anesthesia and Neurosurgery, a large part, as Dr. Dev said, sir said recently, a large part of what we do in neurosurgical anesthesia isn't particularly difficult. The young resident can quickly be taught a few basic rules about how to anesthetize a patient with a brain tumor or an intracranial aneurysm or a cervical spine injury. Unfortunately, this may result in safe care of most of the patients. It qualifies the individual only as a minimally skilled technician. The rest of the neuroanesthesia is the hard part, and it's what it distinguishes the technician from the physician and consultant. And I believe in this quote. I am an anesthesiologist. I solve the problems. You don't know the way I do it. You don't know what problems you are facing. Thank you very much for the patient listening. Thank you very much again for inviting me here on this prestigious dais of ISA Nagpur and allowing me to deliver this late Dr. E.G. Tambe oration. Thank you. I think I finished in time because I can realize that everybody is very hungry, and we are sitting here in this audience from 6 o'clock.
Thank you, Monisha. That was a wonderful oration. And what I sincerely felt that it came across that your passion for neuroanesthesia was very well reflected in that oration. It's a great experience that you have been through so many years of neuroanesthesia, and you have shared with us your knowledge and your experience very well.
May I now request our chairpersons, Dr. Charutta Gadkari Madam and Shubhda Deshmukh Madam, to kindly felicitate Dr. Manisha Gatikar Madam. May I request our President Madam Dr. Kiran Vyavare and Honorable Secretary Dr. Sarita Zoglekar to kindly join us on stage.
But they are available. And madam, do you have any experience of those flow direct? Because my friend recently survived. I almost have lost my great friend. I would have left my practice if he would have died. He would have been subjected for the surgery. And thanks to the intervention radiology, which has a flow directed catheter, just read about it up. Even the neurologist doesn't know. The leading neurologist doesn't know what are these flow directed catheters and how the patient are survived, because they are not available freely. And those who are interested, because I was listening to her depth of that things for which she contributed, including minor things in neuroanesthesia. Of course, everyone, those who practice neuro knows that. But something, the development has gone to that level. So they don't want to take any chance of any neurological deficit. You have done a fantastic job of showing those patients for 3 months without any neurological deficit walking. Now that's the credit. And I think anesthesiologists, even if they don't get, the critical care person knows what are those things. Unfortunately, all these talks of, well, Dave was telling and things of, you get what you deserve. You have to really, you get what you deserve in your life. Just concentrate on that and you get, of course, reading, there is no Google Baba is still with us, and still Google Baba is there. Keep reading, keep enlightening your knowledge, have the hand-on experience, what she has told us. Patient comes for something and get something. Madam, fantastic. Now that the photo hardly matters. You know, what you have done is the full justice of your talk, and that justice is something which I can, I'm really surprised of that you are concentrating so much, because you become a neurophysician than becoming an anesthetist. You become a critical care consultant and becoming an anesthetist, because you want that patient should go walking from your institute. So your personalized care only can give you that. Nothing else. Nothing else. Very good, very informative talk. Unfortunately, at a later version, it should have been on the priority basis, because these for which we assemble here to gain the knowledge. And our ceremony should have been after the breakfast presentation. There is another good suggestion which I am giving you, madam. IMA has started charging 1,000 rupees per year. When I started 450 rupees as a lifetime fee for Nagpur branch, it was started by me. And I remember what were the comments. I don't want to talk. The person is sitting here. 450 rupees they did not give me when I started Nagpur city branch. And I know what are the financial constraints to develop the specialty. I think the next batch you must charge 4,000 they are charging per year for IMA Amravati. Anesthesiologists must at least contribute 1,000 per year for developing your own field, developing your own science for yourself, because your profession is giving that. No one else. Madam, thank you very much, and really keep this devotion, keep this enthusiasm, just as our colleague has maintained that she's 67, she's my batchmate. So I know what's her age. I should not have said that, and she still maintained that. 66. Oh, 66. I was 67, but 67. And she has maintained that. So that's a very good thing. Keep doing this work, keep learning, keep. Anyway, you have done that. You have proved in your slides what we
Thank you, sir. I request the President Kiran Vyavhare to felicitate today's chairpersons. Thank you. And here we conclude today's program. All are requested to join us for a sumptuous dinner on 5th floor.
Before we conclude, I would like to request Dr. Kiran to felicitate Mr. Dinesh from Themis, who has supported us for today's program, and Mr. Patel from Neon. On behalf of Neon, please come forward. Dr. Kiran to felicitate. मेरा थैंक्स गिविंग आधा ही रह गया था. And all the winners have to wait. We have to have a good group photo. Neon, just request them. And special Tina for helping us for all the award distribution. Thank you very much. Thank you. Dr. Bhuvaneshwari.
पब्लिश करायला वेळ मिळत नाही असं काय